Yes, y'all. It's going down right now. Episode 73 of the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast is coming at you live. I am your host with the most, rocking from coast to coast, Moodz 616. And of course, I've always got my horror thug aficionado, JP, also known as the Freddie Mercury wannabe Cupid killer. What's going on, homie?
Yeah, I rock from worldwide to worldwide. To
But it
planet
makes
to
sense.
planet, damn it.
It makes sense, man, because we're almost coast to coast, you know.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is going on? What's been going down, man?
This week, man, I had kind of a rough week just with nonsensical bullshit. Listen to this. I'm gonna tell a story real quick. So, I paid my health insurance on the 31st of January. So I was paying for February. So I pay my bill, and then I go and look at my statement, and I see that I've been charged twice. And I'm like, okay, what in the hell? So I call them, and I'm like, yo, I've been charged twice. Like, can I get my money back, yo? And they're like, oh, I only see one charge. And I was like, yeah, but I have two. And maybe it's because it's pending. You won't see it yet, but it's pending. And they're like, oh, well, that should drop off. And I'm like, okay, but what if it doesn't? They're like, oh, well, then you go ahead and fax us your bank statement and we'll take care of it. But just wait to see if it posts first. And so I waited a day and it posted. So I was like, okay. They gave me a fax number to send it to, and then they gave me a number to call so that they said it'll move it along. It'll process faster if I call and let them know I faxed it to them. So I do that. I fax it. I call them, and they're like, yeah, we still don't see it. So it's going to take about 5 days, and we'll open up a case, and then, we'll figure out what's going on. So I was like, okay. So I waited 5 days, nothing. So I waited 7 days.
Of course.
I waited 7 days. On the seventh day, I was like, F this. I called him back. I speak to Nikki, and she says, yeah, I see right here I see right here that you have two charges. Let me just ask you, would you prefer us to credit that for March, or would you like your money back? And I was like, well, I kind of need that money. How many days is it going to take for it to come back? And they were like 7 to 10 business days. And I was like, yeah, I figured that. I had a feeling that it was going to be 7 to 10 business days. But how come if I, being a customer, don't pay and my bill on time, and I was like, I'll give it to you in 7 to 10 business days, you guys would be pretty upset about that. And she's like, yeah. And then I was like, wait a minute. So if I just called you and you just brought it up now that, like, oh yeah, I see you have two charges, then why the hell have I not received a phone call back from you guys? Because obviously it's through there now and you can see it now, and you said that you would call in 5 business days or 5 days or whatever. So what in the hell? So basically, if I hadn't called today, if I hadn't took the initiative and called to figure out what's going on, who knows how much longer it would have took. And I'm talking to her about this, and I was like, I find it completely ridiculous that you guys messed up. Like, you guys took too much money from me, yet you guys don't do any sort of courteous gesture, give me like $10 off my next bill or something. Like, nothing
Really?
Barely even apologize. Wow. You barely even, just sorry. That's it. That's
sorry,
just your
human
big
error.
Thing there. Sorry.
Yeah,
I was
typical.
like so mad, and I was like, Nikki, what's your name? And she's like, Nikki. And I was like, you're doing fine. Like, I'm not mad at you because you're actually pretty good. You're a good customer service representative and stuff like that. But man, this company is whack.
Nikki from Josie.
I think she was from like India.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Don't you love how these companies always seem to do that shit to you? They don't. It's just, oh, sorry about that, and that's it. No deals. You don't get, nothing back. Oh, fuck, what a pain in the ass dealing with those people, man.
Yeah, it was such a pain, too, because I kept having to call these different numbers, and getting a hold of somebody was hard. And I fucking knew that what was going to happen was it's going to take them 5 days or whatever to put in the case or a ticket or whatever they want to call it. And then I fucking knew that they were going to be like, it's going to take 7 to 10 business days to get your money back. I knew that was going to happen, and that's why I was like bummed that I had to wait those 5 days, because if they would have just did it right there, they would have just credited me back. I would have had my money by the fucking time that I called back the second time. Just terrible. And that was the start of
That's
my week.
that's what I never understood about these things. Like I understand, like they can take your money in an instant, but they can't give it back instantly.
Yeah.
It has to go, 7 to 10 days or whatever. I mean, that's fucking ludicrous. But not to give you anything back for the inconvenience. Not very good customer service right there.
No,
That's
not
not
at
good.
all. And I kind of understand too, because even where I work, when we mess up or something, it takes like 3 to 5 business days for them to get their refund or whatever. So I know that sometimes it has nothing to do with like the actual establishment. It's just the way that it's set up with like credit card and banks and stuff like that. It's just a processing. But it is kind of annoying that in 2016, like we still don't have like an instantaneous way to like refund money when it's possible.
It's very surprising with the amount of technology that we have today. And I mean, you can talk about technology all day and be like, some of this shit really does blow my mind, the shit that we can do, but we can't give money back right away though. That's really, we have not developed technology to do that. Doesn't this just surprise you a little bit?
Yeah, it honestly just was so frustrating because I was just like, like
sorry, I hit that enter button twice. I hit that enter button twice and just can't undo it. There's no undo button for that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't know what the deal was, but I still, this being, I don't know, 3 days later, I still have not received my refund. And what's funny is by the time that I probably get it, I'll probably owe that money back anyway. Just
yeah, exactly right.
It'll be like the end of the month or something. Frustrating.
Yeah, it's super bullshit, man. There's nothing worse than phoning up one of these corporations and then they give you another number to phone, and then that person that line gives you another number. You're like, hey, we need you to go talk to this person. And then go talk to this person. Like, that has got to be the worst thing ever.
You know what?
You spend so much time either on hold or dialing numbers, or just basically, why can't you just go to the fucking source? Like, why isn't there just, okay, what's your problem? You need money back? Okay, here's the number. Why isn't there a direct? With our technology, like, really? 4 people?
Yeah, and it's all automated at first. So it's like, if you are looking to, make a claim, press 1. If you are looking to dispute a claim, press 2. If you are looking to pay your bill, press 3. If you are looking for further options, press 4. And then it's like, all other callers hold on the line. And then it will be another list of all these different numbers to press on it. Like, it's like at the very beginning it should say, if you're looking to speak to a human, press 1, because that's always what I want.
Worst thing ever invented was a fucking automated switchboard. Like, that shit is the worst, man. The fucking worst.
So bad. But
I hate them so much, man.
You know what? I want to point out something, because you mentioned about, calling around and they sending you here and there and everywhere.
Oh, God, yeah.
There was a video that was on YouTube that I watched the other day, and I really want to, I think that it's a great video. I think people should check it out, and, it spreads a little bit of awareness to some shady stuff as well. And it was by a YouTuber known as FrankEinstein. You know this guy?
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, his FYE one.
His thing with FYE. My God, now that's a horrible story. Like, and honestly, I thought he was going to be a little more angry in the video. He was kind of telling the story like a champ. You could tell he was pissed, but he was really kind of like getting every detail in there and really telling the story. And man, what a fuck around that was, though. Like just to drive all that way and go, there's no money on this card, and then it just starts. It gets worse from there. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, well, it even started off worse when he pre-ordered his Blood Rage or whatever it was. And
that's such a bad story.
I want to just, everybody needs to check out that video. It's hilarious. I had a bad experience with FYE along a similar line a while back, but it ended up being resolved in like a positive way for me. But FYE is just one of those companies that, like, the only way they're still swimming above water is because of their shadiness and their tactics, their business tactics. But yeah, so definitely check out that video if you guys haven't. I mean, I found it incredibly entertaining.
Yeah, that company must have a lot of issues, because I've heard a few people mention FYE in videos and how they got fucked around with pre-orders and things like that. And
yeah, well,
it sound like they're always just, it kind of sounds like Amazon.ca to me. They always have these pre-orders up, but when they, the day of release, they're always out of stock or temporary. They get ships in 1 to 2 months. Like, do they never have stock? Like, what the fuck, you guys? Like, there should be a pre-order with the
because isn't that kind of the point of pre-order? Like, you pre-order it so you guarantee yourself a copy. But the thing is companies only have the pre-order option because it helps with their first week sales. Like first week sales matter in everything when it comes to distribution. Like that what you do in the first week determines usually if it's, fail or not. So they have this pre-order because those count for first week sales. Yeah. So it's really, really annoying that they use this tactic, but they don't follow through with their promise of actually having the pre-order. Because I remember when pre-order first came about, there was a guarantee with that pre-order. It was like you get a copy day one guaranteed. That's why you're pre-ordering. Now, what is the reason? Like, what do they say? There's no set. It's just a part of it. It's just a part of the machine now, and they don't answer to it. They don't answer anything about it. They're not saying anything. It's just an option now. I don't get it.
I was talking to, how you can contact, the people on Amazon. You can, talk to them via chat. And I was talking to her about some issue I was having with one of my orders or something like that. And I actually was talking to it was actually a guy. I was talking to him about like pre-orders and stuff. And I said, if you look at my history, like I've canceled in like the last 2 or 3 months, probably like 15 pre-orders because the day they come out, they're like temporary out of stock, ships in 1 to 2 months. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like I'm just not waiting on these things over and over again. I'm like, what's up with the pre-orders? I thought this is kind of like when you reserve a table at a restaurant, like you should be getting one. Kind of thing, right? Like it's the same type deal. And I'm very seldomly getting my pre-orders. And he's like, oh, well, it's not really guaranteed. And I'm like, well, what the fuck is the point of the pre-order? Like I'm canceling more than I'm getting.
Yeah. What is the point of the pre-order then?
Exactly. Like, what am I supposed to do? Just kind of pick and choose what I'm doing? Like I still pre-order because with the notion that I am going to get these things, and every once in a while I do, but more often than not, especially with Screen Factory or Arrow, they're never in stock right away. Ever. I mean, generic titles or whatever, if I'm going to like pre-order like a Christine Sony Blu-ray, they'll probably have it. But what's with all these other companies? Like I understand the same thing that they always say is we never get enough stock. And I'm like, you apparently are not getting any stock, because I'm talking to other people that around Canada that pre-order, like me and Dylan, like we pre-order all the time. And he's in the same boat. He's not getting his either. And I've talked to other people and they're not getting it. I'm like, I don't think you guys are getting any copies in. So you really want to work. You might want to work on actually getting some stock in, keeping your customers a little bit happy here, because no one can really give you a straight up answer what's going on with these pre-orders. So it's really frustrating, man. Like I pre-ordered, even Blood Rage back in, I think it was in, what was it, June or July or whatever. I ended up canceling that, ordering from Amazon UK, and they shipped it the same day.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. I mean, honestly, I don't really like to pre-order that much. Like I'll pre-order from Shout Factory sometimes, simply if I want the poster that comes with the thing, and they're really good about their pre-orders. They don't charge you until they ship it, and it's usually shipped before, like a week or two before release date. Mm-hmm. But you're also paying like $5 more as well.
I couldn't even tell you the last time actually no reason. I got one Screen Factory, I think, the day before release. It was like on a Monday, but it's very seldom that I get a Screen Factory within the first week of being released. Mm-hmm. Kind of thing, right? So it won't even ship for 2 or 3 days after it's been released, kind of thing. I'm just like, man, I don't know. There's no rhyme to the reason, it seems like, what's going on with these things.
It's weird, man. It's definitely weird. Hey, I thought we wasn't doing a knowledge segment this week.
Yeah, no doubt, right? Should have said sometimes they just come up in conversation, man.
So thanks for listening to Knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. Man, this week has been a really odd one. I'm not going to get into specifics of my week, but I know for some people out there kept asking me the obvious question, why I was off social media for the better part of 5 days, I believe. And I haven't told anybody the real reasons why I was off, and I'm probably not going to. I know JP knows. But yeah, I just want to say to people that I am fine. And if I haven't got back to you, because there was concerned people out there, and I do thank you for being concerned and asking me what is going on. Cause that means a lot, and
so many people were messaging me, asking me, and I was like, I haven't looked into it yet. Like, cause I was just like, I didn't know if, like, it was weird because I was like, I don't want to, like, but if there's something, like, going on, like, I ain't trying to bug you or whatever. But after a few days, I was like, all right, I got to figure out something here because, it's kind of weird now. So I did get a hold of you, and everything was cool and stuff. And anybody who asked me after that, I was like, yeah, he's cool. Everything's good.
Yeah. So if I haven't responded to you and you're listening to this, sorry about that. But yeah, thanks for asking. And like I said, everything is hopefully cool. I mean, I'm still talking to you guys, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll just leave it at that. I don't really want to get into too much personal stuff for obvious reasons, but yeah, I'm all cool. So
Awesome.
yeah. Alrighty. So I guess we might as well jump right into news. Do we got some news, JP?
Yes, we have some news. I grabbed a few things from last week just because I thought they were important. We didn't do news last week, but I did keep it relatively short. I cut out all the stuff that I didn't think was super important. So let's get into it. So this is, before we started the show, I just found this little piece and I was like, dude, it's so funny when I do not remember ever talking about something being announced. I don't remember this film ever being like a thing. And then all of a sudden I see sales art for it. It is the remake of the 2007 French extreme horror film L'Intérieur, which is inside or something.
Yeah.
So Inside is being made, like a remake. Did you know this? Did we talk about this? I can't remember at all.
Yeah, the idea got thrown out there a while ago. I mean, remember there was kind of rumblings of remaking Inside, but I hadn't heard anything official. Yeah, I remember just briefly, hearing something about it, but it was just kind of rumors, and I don't think we were really reporting on it too much because it was just kind of like a rumbling. But this doesn't really surprise me. I mean, with Martyrs kind of coming out of the woodworks, and why not just go into Inside and then let's keep moving down the chain? I can see them doing all these films.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but apparently it's being done by the writers of the Spanish film Rec. So I mean that's like kind of a good note, but it's kind of like after the Martyrs one, honestly, dude, like I am completely uninterested because I couldn't imagine it being any different than what the Martyrs remake was, which is just a dumbed down version. There's EFM is going on right now, or it was last week, which is like a sales festival thing. I'm not. I know what it is, but I don't know what it is at the same time. I think it's just like a sales market for film. I think it's in Berlin, and there was some sales art that came out of there of the first poster, and honestly, it doesn't look that, and it honestly almost looks like a Ghostly if you didn't know what it was. So yeah,
who's attached to this thing?
The lead actress will be the same girl who was the lead in P2, and I think the Woods. She had a role in the Woods as well.
Huh.
Yeah. So yeah, man.
So we can pretty much expect like a dumbed down version of Inside, which ultimately makes no sense.
Wait, hold on. Is it being remade by the people who did the original one? Like they're directing it?
Not sure. I mean, so this is kind of like a Funny Games type deal.
Why did okay, so
yeah, because the director of the original Funny Games directed the American remake, which is basically a shot for shot, but
yeah, so he's actually not. They're not directing, which I'm actually glad for. Don't do that to your career. They're the guys that are directing the new Leatherface.
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay, so this is happening. I don't see the thing about the EFM sales market is that it's sales art, meaning that there's films that go there that aren't even like financed yet. It's to get financing. Exactly. Sometimes there's some backers, other times there's they're looking for people to put up some extra money, stuff like that. So who knows if it'll actually get made. I mean, I think it's Dimension who's producing, which if you know anything, Dimension released the original Inside. Yeah. Which actually, you know what? I was at Walmart the other day and I seen Feast, which was one of those Dimension Extremes, on Blu-ray, and I was like, where are all the other Dimension Extreme films on Blu-ray? Like, where's Inside?
Yeah, I know that's been a question that people have asked for years. Like, why isn't Inside on Blu-ray? And Extreme Dimension just doesn't really do any of their films. I mean,
except for the ones that came out like during Blu-ray time, which was like Hellraiser Revelations and Children of Corn Genesis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is such a shame that those are on Blu-ray and like Inside isn't.
Yeah,
Where's the
that's
head
weird.
at? Come on,
Black
that's kind
Sheep.
of Black Sheep. Yeah,
Welcome
exactly.
to the Jungle.
Yeah.
Wait, that was Bloody Wait, what was it? Was it?
Welcome to
I can't remember.
Welcome to the Jungle, I believe, was an Extreme
Okay.
Dimension.
Teeth. I mean, there was a few good Dimension. I missed that label, honestly.
Yeah.
Like they were picking up all these foreign like gems.
Yeah, not bad films actually. Yeah. Yeah, I was, I'm in the midst of still reorganizing my room and I actually had a whole section just for Extreme Dimensions. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I have a lot of releases that were released by, I think they're Canadian editions that don't say the Extreme Dimension, which I was kind of bummed out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of silly. But they don't really seem to put out a lot of stuff anymore, do they?
No, they haven't put out anything since like 2000, like 9 or 2010.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Kind of a shame, but
Yeah, it does suck because all those films were in Walmart too.
yeah, that's right. But
Uh,
Inside being remade though, I mean, this doesn't surprise. I mean, or potentially being remade. I mean, do you think maybe it's going to be based on the success of the Martyrs remake? You think if Martyrs does pretty well, they'll just
no, because
jump right into
Martyrs
this?
isn't gonna do well. But however, you know what's funny is
Maybe sales wise.
I
I don't know.
mentioned
I mean,
I mentioned that girl at work who I was like, this is probably the movie that was made for her or whatever.
yeah, I
Like
know.
she actually told me that she bought Martyrs at Walmart, and she's like, yeah, because I made her watch the original because she did that, and she was like, or it might happen in reverse, but she said she basically had the same exact feelings as me towards it, where it seemed very pointless.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean, I have it sitting here. I still need to check it out, but I'm really dreading watching it because I love the original one so much, and like I just the things I've heard about it so far, I don't know, man.
it's honestly just a waste of time. It's like you're not gonna really pull anything from it. It's not even one of those like remakes where it's like you watch it and like, oh, there's like a different spin on it. It was nowhere near as good as the original, but it had its own thing. Like they just changed the third act, but it's still like the same movie at its core, but just not nearly as like good.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving along, we have more sales art out of EFM, and this one I found super interesting. So the long talked about Jeepers Creepers Trois.
Wow.
Tray. The Jeepers Creepers tray.
Trois is that's three for French.
Oh, is it? Okay, I thought it was like
un, deux, trois.
Okay, so Jeepers Creepers Trois is Jesus Christ. There's some sales art, man. There's actually a poster out, and apparently it's looking to begin filming early this year, so summertime maybe. Myrad Pictures will finance and handle international sales, and it will be directed by the one, the only Victor Salva, who of course did Clown House and the first two Jeepers Creepers films. And Jonathan Breck is confirmed to return as the Creeper, and Brandon Smith as Sergeant Davis Tubbs. Wow. It will follow the first two films, and apparently some of the people who produced the original two films are going to be involved. It's going to be filming in Vancouver.
Nice.
So, yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. So, like, this actually might finally happen.
Wow. Victor Salva, definitely a piece of shit, but he does make some pretty good films, so I'm looking forward to this. It's been a long time.
I think Victor Salva could have went down as one of the modern greats had he not molested a child.
Yeah, I know. It's
that guy builds scares very well.
Those things in life, man. You gotta avoid molesting little boys if you want to become a big time director. Mm-hmm. Notable director, but it's not really funny. But yeah, it's kind of a shame, right? He started off his career so potently. Clown House, Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2. What was the film that he did a couple years back?
It was the one with Rose McGowan. I own it. It was like the house on the street or no. Fuck. What the hell was it?
I know. I totally slipped my mind
Lane
too.
Or something. Rosewood Lane? Is that it?
Something like that. I can't quite remember. I remember kind of digging it. Like it wasn't a bad film, and I think Jeremy was on the same fence as us too with that one. He even said it was okay. It's not a terrible film. It just seemed like it was kind of rushed at times in the film.
Well, he did that other one called like House as well, or like Dark House or something.
Oh yeah, dark, yeah, dark, yeah, the one with dark in the title. That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay, I was thinking of the one with Rose McGowan about the
That film.
triplet kids.
Oh, okay, no, yeah, the Dark House or whatever it's called. It was okay. It wasn't actually that bad. It's not on the same level as other films, but I mean, he also had a huge hiatus there too, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. If he wouldn't have molested that kid, he would have been working. Like that really kind of ruined his career.
Quite regularly.
Yeah, like you look at Clown House that came out in like I think like mid to early 80s, and had he just continued on, we probably would have seen 4 or 5 films from him between the 80s and 90s. And, chances are they were going to be like decent movies just based on his style. Like he gets horror, and maybe it's because it's a parallel to his personal demons that he has, which he obviously has. So I do think that the guy really does understand horror, and that's why I like Jeepers Creepers so much, is that it is a fucking scary movie. It's a horror movie, and I like that about it. And same thing with Clown House. That movie is creepy as hell too, and it just sucks because like you don't even want to like root for this guy just simply because. And I mentioned this on an old mini shots me and Jeremy and Dave did, where I said I'm conflicted because at the same time we know forgive and forget, lets things go, stuff like that. But I don't know if I want to. You're supposed to do that. You're supposed to give people chances. I'm sure he's not molesting children anymore.
Now? Yeah.
Maybe he is like truly sorry for what he did, but at the same time, like I feel like you're just so, if you do that in the first place, like I don't know if you can move on, because it's like it feels like you go beyond of like your evilness nature. And I feel like that's completely instilled in you. Is that the wrong way to think? I always wonder. You know what I mean? It's such a complex matter.
Sometimes, I mean, there is a few directors and actors and people out there that I necessarily don't care for, personally, but I do respect what they do. Like the films that I like, some of the films that they do, and some of the performances stuff. I try to separate those type of personal things a lot too, because I think if you bring the personal elements into your judgments and stuff, you're just gonna end up not judging it properly.
Yeah,
just judge a piece of work. Exactly, you just become super biased. But I do find it kind of ironic that Clown House came out in '89, and then his next film, which came out in '95, obviously was 6 years later because he had all these fucking problems with molesting little boys,
I believe.
Yeah, and then his first film out of prison was called The Nature of the Beast. That just seems like a very ironic title. For a child molester. And then the thing about Victor Salva's career I can't get over is that he directed Powder. You ever see the movie Powder?
I haven't.
Yeah, that's such a strange movie that he directed. I can't believe that, but it's very odd that's in the middle of his filmography, and then he moved on to like Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2 and stuff. But yeah, Dark House was the one I was talking about in 2014. That one wasn't bad. It wasn't too bad of a film, considering he hadn't done a film in a while, like a horror film. So
yeah. So moving on here, we have this actually, I don't know if this premiered at EFM as well, but the trailer for The Purge 3 kind of exploded the internet a little bit. It came out, and honestly, like, I was a little blown back by the amount of excitement and also just talking about The Purge 3. Like, there was a lot of I've seen in many different groups, there was a lot of conversation going back and forth.
I was surprised too, to be honest, because I kind of missed the whole thing because I'd left social media for a few days, and then it came out while I was off, and I didn't even know. And then since I came back, it was like everything The Purge 3, and I was like, what the fuck? Like even Jeremy texted me the trailer for it, and he's like, it doesn't look bad, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So we heard about The Purge 3 maybe like a year ago. They announced it.
Yeah.
And this one's called Election Year, The Purge Election Year. And honestly, I didn't watch the trailer because we don't watch trailers here. Yeah. But I seen that a lot of people were saying that it looked pretty decent. I liked the second one a little bit. Like I
heard people saying that they were like, it looks amazing.
Oh, really?
Like I saw comments like amazing, like this is going to be the best one. And I mean, really,
I hope it is. I hope it is the best one.
Yeah, me too. I mean, the first one was a complete letdown. The second one was a lot better. I wouldn't say it was like a great film, but it was better.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, the thing about the Purge idea is that there's so much you can do with it. You can just take this idea and just put it into a different setting and things like that. So I mean, it's essentially going to be the same film, I would assume, but I'm always looking forward to what they're going to do. I like the general premise of the Purge, so it is intriguing to me, and I think that they can make a lot of these movies. I mean, let's hope that they get their minds straight or get their heads on straight and put one on a fucking cruise ship, because it's like a city on waters, man.
I would be really excited if this one is good, because I feel like then I would look at The Purge as like a semi-decent trilogy instead of like a terrible film and one pretty decent film. And if there's a good one, like I might actually consider myself a fan of the Purge movies. Like right now I'm just like they're there and I'm kind of on the outside looking in, just like, okay, I'm gonna see what you're doing. And then if this one's good, then I would probably say I was a fan of them.
I think what they're going to do with the Purge is they're going to do what they do with Final Destination. They'll probably end up making 4 or 5 of those, and maybe even 6, because I think they're doing pretty well.
They need to do more Final Destinations, just saying.
I'm honestly really surprised that they haven't made another Final Destination film, considering the last one I thought was actually kind of cool, because they changed, well, we talked about this before, but they changed the rules, and it kind of set it up for like new ideas, right? They kind of were going in this general direction that, hey, we can change this one up, and it worked, mostly, and let's keep going with that. I mean, with the Purge, like I said, you take this general idea and there's so many possibilities. You can make like 20 of these movies. Why not?
Even a Final Destination prequel. Well, shit, never mind.
A freak, yeah.
Even like a Final Destination like backstory with Tony Todd's character more involved. Because I listened to Tony Todd on a podcast recently, and he said he got paid way more for his small cameos in the Final Destination movies than anything he's done before that.
What?
Which, yes.
Wow, crazy. And didn't he even stated in, well, I don't know if it was that specific podcast, but didn't he actually state that he's willing to do more of them?
Oh yeah, because
like they pay obviously the money
than anything.
But he legitimately said that even the last film was really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He even said that he liked the idea and how they changed it up, and it was kind of surprising because, I mean, let's face it, the last Final Destination was kind of a big surprise. Not only that it was a good film, but how they changed up the ideas, because part 4 sucks so bad.
Yeah.
It was just a big surprise. So that's cool, man. I would love to see another one with Tony Todd.
And you can't do one without Tony Todd, because he told a story about when Final Destination 3 came out, when they was doing the test screenings, everybody kept asking, like, where's that black guy? Where's that Tony Todd guy?
Where's the black guy?
The coroner, like, where's he at? And so then they came and had him do a cameo voice-wise, and he was the voice on the ride, the Devil's Backbone, or whatever the hell the ride was called. And so he did the voice for the announcer, and he said put him in the movie. So don't even try to make a Final Destination without Tony Todd, because people won't like it.
People are so specific. Where's that black guy? Don't even try to use his.
You know what I meant.
Like, Jesus Christ, man. Tony Todd's been in like 100 fucking movies before this. Come on. Fucking people.
So yeah, that Purge 3 comes out July 1st, I believe. And then we move on to Johnny Depp has been cast as the Invisible Man in the new reboot that Universal is doing of their monster movies, joining A-list actor Tom Cruise, who will be in the revival of The Mummy. So they're trying to pull off a Marvel or a shared universe type thing here with horror. I believe that, I don't know what the status of it is, because they did say it was going to be like action-y, so I don't know if it's continuing like that or what's going on. But Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man, I think, is great casting. My favorite of the Universal monster movies, because I did that giant marathon over October, is by far the Invisible Man. I think that is the best one. It's scary. It's really, really good.
I like the Invisible Man as a film, but like my favorite character will always be FrankEinstein, though.
Yeah. Well, my favorite character probably isn't the Invisible Man. It's probably like the Igor or whatever he was. I didn't know his name switches throughout films, but the little Bela Lugosi like sidekick hunchback thing in one of the Frankensteins. But the Invisible Man, I just think is my favorite actual movie, not like the best one in my opinion, not my favorite necessarily character. But Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man, I think could be, because Johnny Depp can break into that sort of like oddball nature that I thought the original, who was it, Claude Rains, who did the original Invisible Man? I can't remember. But yeah, I think Johnny Depp could do like a fantastic job as the Invisible Man. However, I'm just not interested in these movies until I see that they're horror movies.
Yeah, my thoughts on, casting like really, really huge names into these type of films. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. More times it doesn't work for me. I don't know. I have this weird thing with like casting. Like casting is a big thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I sometimes think that, they're just really going for, well, we can sell the shit out of this film by putting Johnny Depp into it. I mean, I'm not saying he can't play it because that's what Johnny Depp does. He is strictly a character actor. Right. So these type of roles completely fit who he is, and he's probably the better choice for it. But, sometimes I just want to see what the rest of the supporting cast. I'd like to see like a lot of no-name people in there, to be honest.
The reason why I think it might work is because I've always thought Johnny Depp could do an interesting Freddy Krueger, and I really think that Freddy and the Invisible Man are like a very similar character.
Yeah, it's too bad that Johnny Depp separated himself from the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I mean, they couldn't even fucking reach him for, interviews when they were doing the documentary, which is such a shame.
Yeah. Yeah, but a lot of times I think that has to go through like agents and shit. I remember hearing a story where Wes Craven
does Johnny
wanted
Depp
him
actually have an agent?
Oh yeah, probably. Somebody got to deal with all that stuff.
Bill Murray doesn't. Bill Murray deals with everything himself. Yeah, but he's a very eccentric fucker though. But I mean, I would assume Johnny Depp's not exactly that normal either.
Yeah.
Seems like he's just
I think Johnny Depp really does like pick his own projects too, though.
No, he's very, very specific. Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot what it was. Oh, I remember hearing that story with Wes Craven on New Nightmare, how he said, he would have loved to have Johnny Depp in there, but didn't think that he would because he was like a huge star. And he'd seen Johnny later in life, and Johnny Depp said he totally would have did it. So I guess maybe that happened with the documentary too. They're like, oh, he's too big shot. He'll never be in this.
I thought that they had tried to contact him, and maybe they couldn't get a hold of him, or he turned.
Maybe he was busy too. You never know. He might have had a movie in production or something.
But it would have been cool, man, just to hear him talk about it. And I would love to hear him just talk about his experiences on the first film. Yeah, because it's really cool that he was in that film.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it kickstarted his career. I mean, that was his first film.
Yeah.
So. I mean, yeah.
Got him the jobs on 21 Jump Street.
Yeah. And he came back for that.
He did come back for that, didn't he? Jesus.
All right, so moving on here, this is kind of interesting. Rob Zombie headed over to his Instagram page to ask a question. He basically said, he posted a picture of the Firefly crew, and he basically used hashtags, tagged Shaman Zombie, Sid Haig, and Bill Moseley, and he, asked he posted the poster and tagged everybody and said, if anybody would be interested in seeing these characters return in a new film, let me know. And of course, like 100,000 people were like, yes, please, 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 So what in the hell was that all about? Because for a long time, I've heard interviews with him. I've heard interviews with Sid Haig where they said, we thought about it at first, but then as time went on, you'd have to do a prequel because of the ending of Devil's Rejects. But we got, we look too old. We can't do a prequel. Like, we just can't. You're just way too old. So I've heard him mostly shut down this idea for a long time. But I also heard Rob Zombie tease that there might be a way before. So I'm curious. Maybe he knows something that we don't. I'm sure he's thought about it a lot.
Oh, I bet you he's thought about this way too much. So
I don't know, man. It's so perfect that it's like you don't even want to see them do a trilogy.
That's exactly what I'm kind of getting at.
At the same time, if you got something as good as Devil's Rejects out of it, it would be totally worth it because I mean, you could have them in like they survived all those millions of bullets or in the hospital. Like I think if you did that, obviously it's gonna raise some questions, but at the same time, if it quickly gets right back to where it was and it's all awesome and stuff, people will quickly forget that the 80s sequel way that you kind of brought the characters back.
I mean, it's not necessarily that believable that they would survive that, but I don't know, what would you prefer to see? A prequel or, just an extension of The Devil's Rejects?
If you were gonna do something,
I
I
personally would
prefer
like,
to not see anything, but if they were gonna do it, I would like to see a sequel.
to be honest, I'm a little, you know, I'm always hungry for more, and I really don't mind sequels. Hence, I mean, you're kind of the same way too. You like your
I am.
franchises, you like your sequels in general. Like, I mean, look at Friday the 13th. I generally don't watch the first film. I watch the sequels.
Yeah,
Right.
me
So
too.
personally, and I'm not really the biggest fan of prequels, to be honest. Like a full film of just a prequel story. Sometimes they're cool, sometimes they're not. But I would personally like to see an extension of The Devil's Rejects, even though it's kind of unbelievable because I think the end of The Devil's Rejects is pretty self-explanatory. They get Swiss cheesed the fuck up, right?
Yeah.
So, if they do live, it is what it is.
If they
What do you do with the story? Like, what do you do?
that's the difference between me and Rob Zombie is that I have more faith in him than I do me, and I have more trust that he will be delicate with what he does if he does decide to do something, and I have complete faith that he can make it work because that's fucking Rob Zombie and I love him.
Maybe
And
he's not even even leaning towards a direct sequel to The Devil's Rejects. He's just talking about using these characters in a totally different idea,
which he always
unrelated.
does anyway though.
Exactly. But just using the exact same characters and just kind of going off and doing something else,
Yeah.
which I think would be fine too. I think people
I
would
just
be a
think
little
that they
confused
really
by it.
I think that they really look so much older, especially Sid Haig. Like he
Sid
really
Haig,
does look a lot older now. So
like
I feel like he
it's been
could
a long time. Like
damn
the
straight it has.
Devil's Rejects came out what in 2000? Dude, I don't even know what year.
Three,
6, 3,
uh
4.
five, I
Fuck,
think
something like
2005.
mid 2000s. Yeah, so it's been roughly 10 years, 11 years. Yeah, and
And
Sid
Sid
Haig is
Haig
all
was old already.
yeah, Sid Haig is already 114 years old. Like it's amazing that he still does conventions and shit. Like he's getting fucking old. But no, like really, he's like pushing 80, isn't he?
Yeah.
So like you got to do something right now.
I just love that Rob Zombie, like I trust him. So that gives me a
Maybe
little
he's
bit of
feeling
faith.
really good. Maybe he's feeling really
Which
good about
anytime Rob
this
Zombie is
31.
talking about horror, I really like because he always keeps saying like, I'm gonna go do this movie or this movie. It's always non-horror. Like he doesn't want. So if he's getting excited about horror, I'm fucking down, and I hope that he continues to get excited.
I think maybe he's gotten over the fact of the media, all the criticism and stuff that he took from his last film, but maybe he's feeling really good about 31. And he's
Yeah.
feeling like once this thing actually launches itself, it's going to do really well. And he's obviously in good spirits if he's talking about another project right now. You want to see his characters in something else? Fucking rights we do.
Yeah, and you know what else? If he was able to pull off, even like almost as good as Devil's Rejects, because I really think it's one of the best films in that entire decade. If he is able to do another one, and that would bring it to a trilogy, and you have this Devil's Rejects trilogy, then I think that would be so amazing if it was a trilogy instead of just those two films, and it was good. It would I think it would take the status of those films and they would be even further cemented in horror gold in history.
As long as it's actually a really good film. But then
Yeah.
again, I have a lot of faith in him too. I mean, we talked about this just recently actually about, masters of horror and like filmographies and stuff like that. And I think, Rob Zombie has a really solid one with the exception of possibly one miss. But I trust him though.
Hmm.
I really do. And I think that his ideas, I think he's creative enough that he can come up with something really cool. But, at least he's, focusing on the people and the fans and stuff. Like, do you want this? He's asking the questions and stuff. Like, some people might take it as, maybe he's being not very sure of himself. He's being, say what you will, but I think he's taking the right approach. Do you guys want to see this? Or
Yeah.
don't you want to see this? I think it's the way to go about it. So
Yeah. Of course, that is just a tease. That is not really any news. It's not saying that a new Devil's Rejects is being made right now or anything like that. But continuing along, we have another franchise that is sort of peeking its head out from underneath the darkness of the under the bed of the closet or whatever you want to say. and it is the Saw franchise. So the last Saw we got was in 2010 with Saw 3D.
Franchise.
So now they said that, over the past couple years, they have said that, it's entirely possible that we bring back the Saw franchise, the Solange Gate, of course. And apparently they are moving forward with an eighth film, and it is being written by Joss Stolberg and Pete Goldfinger. They did Sorority Row, Piranha 3D, and Piranha Double 3D.
Wow, classics.
And they are going to write Saw Legacy. Although, there's nothing really.
God, I fucking hate that title. Please tell me that's like a working title. Saw Legacy. I don't know, man. I don't like the word legacy, attached to like an eighth film. I mean, it makes sense.
It actually does make sense on this one, actually.
It does. I mean, I don't know.
Especially if that's directly tied to the story. Like, this is, 5 years after Jigsaw's reign, and like the legacy of it still lives on.
At least it's not called the Curse of the Saw or something.
Oh God, no! Child's Play has the worst titles. Child's Play has the worst ones.
Totally. When I hear Legacy, I just kind of, for some reason, I instantly think of Puppet Master. It's weird. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because Puppet Master, the Legacy.
Yeah.
But anyway, this one, I guess James Wan will executive produce. Not the director on this one, but he's involved in some sort of way. So yeah, I mean that's
yeah, he's gonna throw his bank account at it and then walk away and do something else. Have no involvement whatsoever. I don't know, man. I can't really say I'm excited about it because I really need to finish. I think Saw is the only franchise I've never seen all the films to.
I've never seen all of them either. I've seen 5 of the 7. So
you've actually seen more. I've seen the first 4, and I own all the movies. I just haven't got to 5, 6, and 7 because I really hate.
Because we're waiting to cover them on the show.
Yeah, and I really hated part 4 so much that I was like, I can't even move on.
Yeah, somebody actually requested that we do Saw or Puppet Master. So right there, boom. That's it. You see how that just happened?
Oh, they just keep getting fucking bigger and bigger. Hey guys, we just did the Howling franchise. That was 8 films. Why not go and do the Puppet Master, which has
10,
I don't know what 49 films right now.
And if you throw in Dollman or Demonic Toys versus Puppet Master, that's another one. The good thing about those is they're short, and I actually like those movies. So
they are short, and that's actually the best thing about those films is that they don't overstay their welcome whatsoever. It's not like the Howling films where not one of the movies was under 90 minutes and some were well over 100.
Dude, I'll tell you right now.
What the fuck is that?
I'm feeling invincible. I could do any franchise now. I'm serious. Like, I got through the Howling
and the Children of the Corn. Like, dude, we're glutton for punishment, man.
Yeah. Well, I think it's time to do a good one next, because we it's probably time to do.
But the thing is, we have done good ones. I mean,
Phantasm and Halloween come to mind. I think the Leprechaun one was a good one, but
Leprechaun is a very average. I mean, honestly, I like pretty much half the films. Well, I haven't seen the new one, so that might bring down the percentage of like it's right there. So, yeah, I don't know. It probably is time for a good one.
Yeah.
Maybe we should focus on doing.
We should do the Saw franchise.
But I don't know. Is it good? I've heard.
Yeah, it's good, dude. The like, at least they're entertaining, if not like
as
good.
A whole. As a whole.
But even like the 5 that I seen, like I liked them enough. Like they weren't bad. I wasn't like, oh, this is so painful to go through. They were just like, I didn't care for like how the story went or whatever. But I mean, they were like well-made movies at least.
Yeah, totally. I mean, for sure, well-made. But
you're not gonna hate your life while watching them, even if you don't like them. They're extremely tolerable.
None of the films are like Howling 7.
Yeah, they're actual movies.
And by the way, like I said, I'm still sticking to it. Howling 7 is not a fucking movie. A movie, like nothing can be as bad as that. So I mean, really, we prepared ourselves for anything. So we prepared ourselves for anything, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the future of our franchise shows will be determined at a later date. We're actually going to take a little break from them. So. But we'll consider maybe the Saw one when we come back,
But there is some more directors shows and things like that are coming up, so which will be great.
Yeah, we got some cool stuff planned. So, moving along here, we actually have a little bit of news from Scream Factory. They announced a couple titles. Submerged, which is an IFC Midnight title.
Oh, fuck! And I say
Um,
that with no politeness.
yeah,
Damn it. I fucking, every day I'm online searching for those 3 IFC titles I need to complete my entire collection. They're getting more expensive, man. I think I'm going to have to eat the ground here and just buy them. I'm not happy.
yeah.
I'm not happy because one of them is a film I didn't really care for. I haven't seen, Contracted 2, but I heard it's not that great. So fucking IFC, man. I think a lot of people are on my, kind of, they're with me on my boat here. And they're saying, like they need to just kind of get rid of that IFC contract. It's dumbing down their collection, man.
Yeah, honestly, like I just look at and this is coming as somebody who collects all of their films. Obviously, the appropriate answer to this would be like, well, don't buy them. You know what I mean? They're still releasing all of their other stuff, like
which has been said to me before. Like, well, why don't you just stop buying them? I'm like, because I made this fucking this thing with myself. I made this idea.
We're OCD, damn it. Leave us
and
alone.
I'm like, I'm gonna buy all the Screen Factories, but if I had known ahead of time that they were gonna sign a deal with IFC and start releasing a lot of IFC. I don't even mind the sci-fi. Like the sci-fi ones they're comical to me, but the IFC titles, they're just bumping them out, man. You know, and they're really like, well, we'll get into one later. This isn't a IFC one, but I don't know, man. I wish they just focus on more of what they were doing before. That's all.
Which we're not, but honestly, that doesn't mean that they're not focusing on that, right? I mean, like they can do both. Like it doesn't mean that just because they're doing this, it's taken away from what they're doing over here. It's a big company, but I understand as a collector, I just don't want to buy all these IFCs. Like, and I know that I can just not do it, but at the same time, like I also made like the weird commitment with myself to buy all of them.
That's the word I was looking for, commitment. See, I don't know that word very well.
But yeah, I totally feel you. And the first one is Submerged. I mean, honestly though, like I'm not gonna hate on the movies because some of them are actually good. I just don't feel like buying them.
Yeah, the IFC films, and they have literally been hit and miss. Some of them are actually really good. And then some are just atrocious, but it's also just the contemporary titles that they're releasing too. I think maybe I wish they would just screen and just kind of think that through a little bit more, but like I said, we'll get into one here in a minute. It'll give you a general idea of what I'm talking about with titles that I just don't understand why they're releasing. But
yeah, this one seems weird. The Submerged one, it's a limousine joyride gone berserk in a breathless, pulse-pounding thriller. An ex-soldier turned bodyguard hired to protect a young woman, but while cruising with a group of friends one night, their stretch limo runs off the road into the water by a gang of ruthless kidnappers who then dive in to finish the job. Suddenly, it's sink or swim as the bodyguard must keep to fight the vehicle from becoming a watery grave. I mean, that kind of sounds interesting. Like, if there's like this half-submerged vehicle and it's like a contained film, like I'm not really sure like how that's going to play out, but it at least sounds semi-interesting.
Man, I just watched that movie not too long ago. It's called Curve. It was on Netflix.
Oh, really?
It basically kind of the same idea about, I mean, essentially it's about a girl that gets trapped in a vehicle and some dude's fucking with her and shit. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, but is the vehicle in the water?
It eventually goes into the water. There's flash floods and the vehicle is drowning and she needs, that's really fucking strange.
Okay, this one actually sounds cool too. This one's called Dementia. A disabled war veteran is in bad hands when his family hires the live-in nurse from hell. In an intense psychological shocker, George is an aging ex-soldier haunted by memories of Vietnam. So this is sort of a period later, maybe not a period piece, but at least there's somebody who was in Vietnam, struggling to reconnect with his estranged son and granddaughter. But when he suffers a stroke and is diagnosed with dementia, George is left. Okay, so it's modern. It's an older guy, seemingly sweet nurse who's disturbed by a dark side. This sort of sounds like
sweet nurse.
This sort of sounds like
that.
maybe it is like a Misery type deal.
I was thinking the exact same thing, kind of, in a sense.
Yeah, and I mean that honestly, that's kind of up my alley a little bit with the soldier post-traumatic stress syndrome, dementia from Vietnam. Like that sounds kind of cool to me.
I mean, there is other films out there like that, so.
Yeah. After that, we have this one, which I don't want to spend too much time on. This one is Sharkensaw Women's Prison Massacre. It's going to hit on demand DVD, Blu-ray May 3rd. Directed by Jim Wynorski, who did Shopping Mall, and
Yeah.
Piranaconda, Cobra Gator, Camel Spiders, and Shark Babes.
Yeah, man, his filmography is just getting ridiculous. Like all of the recent films.
Uh-huh.
It's getting so bad. Like he used to be kind of like a serious director. Now he's just like, he's so not serious. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, we have a announcement of some films playing at South by Southwest. I would love to go to this festival one day. It's March 11th through the 19th of 2016 in Austin, Texas. This is the 23rd event. We have Midnighters, which looks pretty cool. There's not really a whole lot of there's descriptions on all of these and stuff, but really there's just usually a promotional still and stuff like that. This one, the year is 1978. A team of wannabe crooks botch a small town bank heist and flee with their hostage into the deep California desert, where they find themselves in a harrowing fight for survival against a psychotic ex-military sniper. That one sounds cool to me.
Not bad.
Yeah. We have
A little better.
We have Hush. A deaf woman is stalked by a psychotic killer in her secluded home, which that's pretty basic.
That's the whole thing.
Yep.
Well, I mean, at least it's original though.
Mm-hmm. I Am a Hero, Japan's first major zombie movie based on a blockbuster mega series.
Okay.
That one's from Japan. Jack Goes Home. After his father is killed in a car crash, Jack travels home to Colorado to help nurse his mother, who was injured in that crash, back to health. There, he uncovers long-buried secrets and lies within his family, his friends, and his identity. Rory Culkin? Oh, wait, never mind. I thought that was Macaulay. Wait, yeah, that is Macaulay Culkin's little brother.
Rory Culkin, I believe, is the youngest of the three boys.
Yeah, Lynn Shaye's in this one, so it got a pretty decent cast. After that, we have Johnny Frank Garrett's Last Word. When a young man is executed for committing murder, he leaves behind a curse letter in which he promises to take vengeance on all those connected to his trial. Then we have My Father Die. A young deaf boy avenges the death of his brother, and the killer happens to be his father. After that, we have Pet. A lonely man fatally reunites with a former high school classmate. When he spurns his advances, he takes her prisoner. When she spurns his spurns? Who uses the word spurn? Seriously. He takes her prisoner only to find that she is not what she seems. So that one actually looks kind of cool. And finally, Phantasm Remastered.
Whoa!
Yeah, so the 4K transfer of Phantasm is making its premiere there. And then there's a few other films. I'm not going to really go into those ones. But yeah, I mean, so South by Southwest, these are probably the films that we'll be talking about later this year if they get their release. These will probably be ones we'll be watching right before the year-end show. So
nice.
Yep, pretty cool there. And got one little other piece of news here. We got Blue Underground announcing that they're releasing Manhattan Baby.
Oh man,
I've heard nothing but like bad things.
It's so frustrating to me because I'm assuming that Lustig still has the rights to Don't Torture Little Duckling, and I was kind of hoping that was going to be the next Fulci title that they were going to release on Blu-ray because it's good film. It's a really good film. And Manhattan Baby, I mean, I understand what they're doing. All these editions are 3-disc and blah, blah, blah. But this is getting crazy treatment for a pretty bad film. And, I'm not being biased at all because Fulci's my favorite director. And this is not a good film. This is one of his worst films from his like kind of golden age era of, classic films that he put out. I'm really surprised that this is getting that type of treatment. But, like I said, Don't Torture Little Duckling would have been the choice. I think everyone would.
For being such a big Fulci fan, you do not even know the title of that film.
What's that?
It's Don't Torture a Duckling.
Did I keep saying little?
Yeah.
Didn't even realize I was saying that. Don't Torture Duckling. Yeah, it's a good film. It's a really good film, and it's like, it's quite a bit older than into his classic era and stuff. But I don't know why I was saying Little Duckling.
Okay, so
The fuck
is
is with
Eye
that?
of the Evil Dead
It's the alternate.
Okay, because I thought it was
Yes.
another. I thought they announced 2 films, but apparently I was wrong.
Well, that's kind of funny that you called me on saying don't torture a duckling. I don't know why I was saying little duckling. I have no idea. Because I actually commented on your video yesterday about you getting a title of a film wrong. I don't know if
Oh,
you
what
read
was
my
it? The
comment.
Fear Chamber or Torture
You
Chamber?
called torture chamber fear chamber, and then I started to laugh out loud, and then you continue to say you're like, I can't even remember really anything about the movie. So then I commented on your video saying, yeah, apparently you can't remember anything about the movie or the title either. Fuck, it's so
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But yeah, yeah, that's the alternate title for Manhattan. But it's such a letdown. That movie is
Free
just a real.
disc though, man. That's crazy.
It's because it's all their editions now are coming with soundtracks. I believe. I think that's the third disc.
What else have they released?
Recently, they released a couple Jess Franco films.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're just going through their back catalog, and well, some of the release double features have like a newer film and stuff on them, but they're releasing some very strange awesome editions. I don't really understand what they're doing because they have a really good back catalog.
They do.
But
Blue Underground has a fantastic back catalog.
But I'm not sure if they still have the rights to a lot of their films.
They don't.
Like,
Some
because
of
I
them
was
don't.
thinking like, House by the Cemetery was put out by Blue Underground, but I'm not sure if they still have the rights to it and like City of the Living Dead and stuff like that because, well, obviously
they definitely still have the rights to City of the Living Dead and House by the Cemetery because they just re-released them in that Fulci pack.
Okay, yeah, because I was wondering because Arrow put out their own editions too and stuff, so it kind of simultaneously, really.
Why don't they do like the New York Ripper or something?
That was the other one. That's where I was leading after I kept fucking up "Don't Torture a Duckling's" title, or I was going to say, or the New York Ripper, and that's the movie that it was either one of those two. I wouldn't even have minded Contraband. I know it's not really your thing; it's more of a Italian crime film, but it's a good Fulci film. It's really fucking violent and crazy. But why Manhattan? Like, were the fans really going Manhattan Baby? Like, we want that? We want Manhattan Baby? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Makes no sense to me. They're making weird choices.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, this is the last little piece of news here we have, and this is just something I wanted to comment on because I think people were a little confused. I think Jason mentioned something. We did that knowledge where we talked about Synapse, and after we recorded that, they did come out and say officially, like, no, we are not releasing another version.
Oh, well, at least they came out and actually fucking said it.
Of the Tenebrae.
Yes. See, now I'm not so mad. At least don't beat around the bush. Just come out and tell us that you're not going to release a standard edition. Right?
I still think that they will, though. If they told us they will.
Honestly, dude, they've already taken a lot of backlash for the pricing, and it is a little overpriced and things like that. But like, if they fucking back out of that and actually release the standard edition, that's pretty shady, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's not cool. You can't do that to your fans. I mean, like you said, there's not. To us, there seems like there's a lot of fans, but in like the perspective of the bigger picture, there isn't really. Mm-hmm. You can't be alienating your fans and treating them like that. That's just bullshit.
I don't think they're really bad, but I'm thinking about just going with the Arrow version in the UK, honestly.
Yeah, my God, it just really, really drives me nuts, man. I have, all the Synapse Blu-rays.
Well, what's gonna frustrate me, Moodz, is that they're going to do it with the other Argento films too. So if you buy this one, you're going to have to buy all three or however many they had.
Yep. And that's the thing. And like, if you go to Arrow, you can get really nice editions of Tenebrae, and Phenomena doesn't have all the different editions on the Arrow one, which is, I think they might have 2, not all 3. But anyways, that's the big selling point for Synapse's release. But yeah, you're right though. If you don't get this, they're going to release all of them in this type of state, limited edition steelbooks, and they're expensive.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. It's a really tough gamble. So if you bite the bullet and buy the first one, you have to buy the next 2 if you have OCD like us. If not, then
that's what it's going to be. It would be a nice trilogy to have, but not for that price. Like I would like, if it was $30 shipped, I would think that's fair.
I don't even know what's up with Synapse's prices right now. I know a lot of people have commented on that because, some of the recent Blu-rays that they've released, like Manos and Mosquito and stuff, like those were relatively decent priced Blu-rays, weren't they?
Yeah,
like for
I got Mosquito for like $14, I think.
Yeah, I know they were like really cheap, and then all of a sudden they came out with a couple other ones. I know they have the black cases and stuff like that, but all of a sudden they were like $20 more on pre-orders, and they still have never really dropped in price. So I don't know what's up with their pricing right now.
Yeah,
don't know, man. It's just crazy, and I know a lot of people haven't picked up those other, and they're just standard editions in black cases, because of the price. So who knows? Maybe Synapse is just suffering or something, man. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So with that said, that is the news, Moods.
Alrighty. So we will be coming back to you guys right after a brief message.
Hey, did you guys ever notice that podcasts talk about the same movies over and over again?
Yeah, as much as I love Friday the 13th, I don't need another show telling me how good it is.
Exactly. Same thing goes for Halloween. It's a great movie, but come on, there's other stuff out there.
There should be a show that highlights movies that everyone else seems to skip over. Like,
oh, I always wanted to talk about Absentia.
And I want someone to cover The Room.
The Skeleton Key's a good one.
Then let's just do one. We can call it The ABCs of Hidden Horror, and we'll go through the alphabet talking about our favorite horror flicks that get ignored.
Great idea! I know what my first one's gonna be.
Join Brian, Dave, and me, Jamie, for the ABCs of Hidden Horror on the Horrorphilia Network, where we might discuss some of your neglected favorites, or introduce you to something new.
Alrighty, so moving into Mood Swings and the DVD and Blu-ray releases for February 16th, 2016. And yeah, this week it looks like not the biggest amount of releases, but there's a couple of very cool, notable ones anyways. So to start us off here, we got a film called Estranged from, I think Well Go USA is releasing this one. To be honest, it looks very much like a Ghostly.
See, I would say that until I seen the shotgun on the cover, and I was like, okay, this seems like it could be maybe like a revenge film.
Yeah, true that, I guess, right? But it doesn't the cover like just scream ghost?
Yeah, it does.
It like
I actually
does.
don't mind this cover that much. Kind of like it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you really never know what you're going to get with Well Go USA. You just don't know.
Yeah.
So, who knows? We got one here from our favorite company out there, Screen Archives. I believe this is Twilight Times was releasing this one. And the title that's on the cover art is in Italian, but its translation is The Doll of Satan. This is a really good movie, actually. Kind of sucks that Twilight Times is releasing the Blu-ray, but if you're into buying Twilight Times, of course, it'll be limited to 3,000, but they are giving it the Blu-ray treatment. Very, very cool, but not cool at the same time. Mm-hmm. Right? That really sucks, man. But, you know, it is what it is. Next up here from Arrow, The Mutilator, finally getting its release, you know, after 2 or 3 delays, I believe. Mm-hmm. Something like that, 2 or 3 delays. Yeah, so The Mutilator coming out, of course, the 3-disc version, nice slipcover. No, 2-disc version. That's right. That's what it is. Very excited for this. Have you seen the alternate art for this film?
No.
You haven't? Yeah, I think it's called Fall Break, I think is the alternate title for the film. You know, a lot of people are like, man, that cover art sucks. I'm like, I actually kind of like it, man. It's so fucking 80s. Kind of cool. But yeah, Mutilator finally getting its release. And I just realized that I totally have to switch my shipping because I pre-ordered, because I canceled my pre-order with Amazon .ca for The Mutilator, and I canceled that, and I ended up ordering it from Arrow. And I bought this movie with Bloodbath. And what I did is I accidentally grouped my shipping. In Bloodbath, it doesn't come out until the end of May, so I wouldn't even receive my Mutilator until I kept thinking to myself, why isn't this thing shipped yet? Fuck. I gotta email them and tell them like, hey guys, I'll pay the extra shipping. I want it now. But you know, it's an option when you buy from Arrow to group your shipping if you have a pre-order or whatever. And it's kind of like an offbeat option. Like you don't really notice it until it's too late, but then you can't like go in. I have to like email them now, and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, why isn't my Mutilator shipped yet? I really, really want to watch this on Blu-ray. So, yeah, unfortunately, I got to do that. So, I'm going to mention this one because I actually do have this on order, but Pray for Death is coming out. If you guys are into your, 80s ninja films, very cultish. I love, what's his name? Gucci films, man. Fucking awesome, man. So good. But yeah, here's probably the biggest release of the week. The Vincent Price Volume 3 collection from Scream Factory is finally getting its release. And I'm really excited about this one, to be honest, because I don't have any of these movies.
Yeah, the only problem with that is that there is only 4 films. And I think like the first set had 5, the second set had 6, and they're all like the same price. So it is a little...
No, I think this one has 5 films.
Does it?
Yeah, it's got 5 films.
Oh yeah,
Master of the World, Tower of London, Diary of a Madman, An Evening with Edgar Allan Poe, and Cry the Banshee.
Disc 3 has 2 films on it.
Because I actually hadn't picked up those midnight movie double features and stuff with an Evening with Edgar Allan Poe and Cry the Banshee and things like that. I had never grabbed them, but I'm glad I never did, because this is really cool, man. It's not very often that I grab a collection or a Blu-ray box set or any box set in general that I don't have any of the films. Very, very cool. So I'm excited for this. Because Cry the Banshee, I enjoy that film. So
yeah, well, actually, it was the second set that had 7 films, and the first set had 6.
Yeah, so but then again, they're running a little short on the films. I guess.
But if you think if they would have just planned that third set, they could have rearranged stuff, and every set could have had like 5.
Exactly, right. And
6.
even things that I know it does make it look a little poor, a little lackluster, right? Yeah. So. Next up here from VCI, and this has been released before. It used to be a exclusive to the VCI website, and it's a film called What the Peeper Saw. Now, if you guys are avid followers of the podcast, I reviewed this film. I have no idea on what episode.
Oh, come on. You should know what episode you did it on. You should just be able to have that that like programmed in your memory, know every episode, every
I have no idea if it was like even recent. No, I don't know. But yeah, so anyways, this movie
it was actually episode 39.
Episode 30. So it's been a while. But yeah, this is finally getting like a wider Blu-ray release, because like I said, it used to be standard to the website, and then they released the DVD, I believe, wider, and now the Blu-ray is getting a wide release. So I don't know why they did it like this, but check out What the Peeper Saw. It's a very interesting film, and it's one of those type of films that you really can't make anymore. I know I said that in my review, but you just can't make movies like this anymore, because that's our world that we live in. So it just doesn't happen. Next up here from Vicious Circle Films. Wow. I was actually just thinking the other day that these guys haven't released anything in a long time. Again, due to the fact I was organizing my room, putting these things into, studios and releasing companies and things like that. And it's a film called Riddle Room.
Looks awful, dude. This looks absolutely terrible.
And I was just going to say, like, if you're going to come out of the woodworks and finally release something, this doesn't look very good. It doesn't. It's like, you can tell right away, it's one of those captive type films. Emily Burns is being held captive in a room with no idea as to why, how she got there. Of course. Have we, then, I think we've seen this once or twice before.
Yeah.
But if that interests you, Riddle Room from Vicious Circle Films, just cool that they're still releasing things, because I wasn't even sure if they were still running. It'd been a long time since they released anything. So we got one here from Cinedime, and it's a film called Unknown Caller. Wow. One of these caller type technology films. A psychopath connects a ticking time bomb to a family's high-tech security system and promises to detonate the system unless the father can identify the psychopath based on clues. Seriously?
Yeah.
What? That's the whole plot line to it? Hey, you don't know me, or you might know me, but, whatever.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird.
That's a weird storyline, but yeah, very slow week for releases. There is a couple pretty cool, notable ones in here. So, for my pick of the week,
release of the week.
Release of the week. I don't know why I would say pick of the week. Release of the week. My release of the week for February 16, 2016 is got to go to Scream Factory in the Vincent Price Collection Volume 3. So if you have to pick up one, go and grab this one.
Yeah, I'll be grabbing that. I'm still working my way through the first box set. I think I have 2 films left on that one, but I watch all the special features and the commentaries too, so it takes me a little while to get through them.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't say that I love the first. Let's see, I loved Witchfinder General. The Fall of House of Usher I thought was just okay, and The Pit and the Pendulum I thought was just okay as well. So
Pit and the Pendulum is probably one of my least favorite Corman Vincent Price collabos. Never really was a big fan of that one, to be honest. But it's not like a terrible film or anything, but it's like one of my least favorite collabos that they did. So what other ones are on the first volume?
Let's see, you got the first Phibes movie, Dr. Phibes.
Oh yeah.
And then you have The Haunted Palace, I believe.
Yep.
And there's one other one that I can't remember. I have it right next to me. I'll just
actually
look really quick. The Mask of Red Death.
Yeah, see, man, the first collection's got a lot of good films. The weakest film is Pit and the Pendulum, in my opinion, but The Mask of Red Death, man, I love that movie. It's fantastic. I know a lot of people I've heard some people say they don't really care for it and stuff, but it's a very beautiful, kind of elegant, really, really good set pieces, well acted film. I love that movie. It's great.
Yeah, I loved Witchfinder General. So
see, the thing is, if you love the Witchfinder General, you should really enjoy The Mask of Red Death. I would assume, because pretty cool film. So, but that is going to do it for the DVD and Blu-ray releases for February 16, 2016.
Correct. And we have some questions here, and the first one I want to get to right away is this one because it's kind of relative to what we're doing with the DVD releases. It is from Duke via email, and he said, it would be cool if you guys could create a small section to talk about upcoming VOD titles such as Southbound, The Invitation, The Green Room, Hardcore, Cabin Fever Reboot, which will all be hitting VOD shortly. I think what he means is not actually review the movies, but just like how we do with the DVD releases.
Just kind of list them off, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I would be open to do that because one of the things that's weird about us, Moodz, is we're in this bubble, and we're in the bubble of the collecting community. There's people out there that do not collect. Like Dave Z, like he doesn't really collect horror movies. Like he watches everything that comes out and stuff, but he doesn't collect them. So there are people out there who literally,
unless of course it's Fright Night in 1985 and then he checks it out 30 years later.
Yeah. But
what a fucking weirdo.
There's definitely people out there who don't who just don't collect. They watch VOD. I know Brandon is a collector a little bit, but he does a lot of VODing. And certain podcasts that I listen to, they're all about that VOD. You know, I know you listen to Killer POV. A lot of them VOD a lot of stuff.
They do, yeah.
So I think that it would be, if I could find a website that lists them easily where I wouldn't have to track them down every week, I would. Now, the website that we use for the DVD releases does have a section for VOD, but actually, you know what? We never plug that website, the Horror Club.
thehorrorclub.blogspot.ca
.com if you're not on another planet.
Well, .ca would be. I'm assuming this is maybe. Yeah, I don't know. That's strange. It's weird.
Yeah. So anyway, they do have a few listed here for February. The 16th we have it Estranged, which Moodz mentioned in the DVD releases. The 23rd we have FrankEinstein. The 23rd of February we also have The Tribe. The 23rd we have Victor Frankenstein, and then the 26th we have The Backtrack. Also, February 12th, which is the day of recording, we have the Cabin Fever reboot, which is another reason why VOD is kind of interesting, because you do sometimes get to see these movies well before they come out on disc, and like the Cabin Fever remake. So I'm sure a ton of reviews will be flooding in right now for the Cabin Fever remake.
For me, man, it's really annoying because I find myself ducking and, bobbing and weaving through these reviews and stuff, because people will check out a film on VOD, which is mostly available in the US and probably not up in Canada. It doesn't go for all films, but there is certain ones that aren't available, and people are reviewing and people are starting to talk about it. And then I have to, kind of avoid, those sites and those conversations and things like that. So it is uber annoying to me. I mean, not so much for Americans and things like that, but you got to look at it from my point of view too. It's fucking irritating.
Yeah. So, continuing along here. So I'll try to find a way to do that if we can, or maybe we'll at least look and see if there's anything of note for you VOD users out there. Next up, we got an email from Syntax Error or Terror. I'm not really sure. I think it's Error. He says, this is Jim from Toronto. Yes, there's at least one other person from Canada who tunes in. Thank you to Moodz for answering a question I asked through your channel a few episodes ago. My questions are, if you could see a movie in theaters in your lifetime during its first run but missed it, which would it be and why? Also, if you could see a movie before your lifetime, which one and why? My choices would be The Exorcist in my lifetime and Psycho, both because of the big hype and buzz they generated during each of their releases. So I guess we could answer that one really quick. So he wants to know, if there's a movie that was out before your lifetime you wish you could see in theaters, what would it be? And pick one that was released in your lifetime that you missed.
I have seen this movie on the big screen before, but I would have loved to have seen it when it first came out, which predated my birth by 2 years, and that's Dawn of the Dead. I would have loved to have seen when that first came out in theaters. And one during my life, honestly, it would probably have to be Fright Night. Yeah, that would have been cool.
Mine would easily be the one before my lifetime would be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And honestly, the one during my, there's not much stuff that came out in the 90s, I guess because I seen all the other Screams in the theater, I would go with the first Scream because I seen 2 in the theater, 3 in the theater, and 4 in the theater.
I seen all 4 in the theater, actually.
Yeah, so I would have liked that, or the Blair Witch Project.
I've seen that too.
Because I would have loved to see those in the theater. But definitely the Texas Chainsaw Massacre before my lifetime, which I had an opportunity to check out last year during a drive-in on 35mm, and I missed it. This year, though, Moodz, they have Fright Night playing. Night of the Creeps on 35. There's a few
so sweet.
Near Dark, The Lost Boys. All these films are going to be on 35 at this drive-in in a couple towns over. So I might go to that. Might.
Yeah, it's pretty. What do you mean, might? You got to go to that, man.
I need somebody to drive there for me.
Oh,
I don't trust my whip, man.
Yeah, I guess that's always a complication, right? If you don't completely trust your vehicle before you go on a road trip, don't take it. Probably just going to cause you more problems.
But we're gonna try to hit it up this year. I talked to somebody and they're kind of interested, so we'll see. Then lastly, to Jeremy, you've mentioned many times that you don't rewatch as a general rule, which is cool. My question is, why would you bother collecting movies? Couldn't you just see them in the theaters if possible, rent them on VOD or any other way? I'm not trying to be insulting or an idiot, but I'm just curious, and this could also be a general question for the others out there in the community. Is it just simply the hoarder in you, and you can get the movies cheap? That's kind of like why you do it or not? Thanks. Looking forward to your response.
In his case, I think it has a lot to do with getting movies cheap. I mean, he lives right in the heart of cheap DVDville, man. He's got a fucking million family videos around him. Get that shit for $1.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't collect, man? It's cheaper to buy the movies than it is to rent them, literally. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that I question myself all the time. That's like when Zach mentions that he doesn't like watching special features, that he only buys it for the movie. But then I'm like, okay, I don't even know if I would collect if I didn't at least, want to check out some special features, because I don't know. It's weird. It's kind of pointless. If we're being 100% honest, collecting movies is kind of pointless.
No, it's not.
Why?
It's not, because everybody needs a hobby. It's a hobby. It's not pointless. It's peace of mind.
In that way, it's
peace and that's exactly why I do it, because I enjoy doing it. Simple and plain. It's like playing sports. Why do people play sports? They enjoy doing it. Some people don't enjoy playing it. Yeah, exactly. It's fun. That's why they do it, because they get enjoyment out of it. I don't play sports as much as I probably should. And, that's what I did. I love playing sports, but I don't play them as much anymore. And so I rely heavy on something else, which is collecting. I collect music and I collect movies. It's just a hobby. It's peace of mind. It's fun to do, and it keeps me entertained. There's a lot of reasons.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I know that, but I meant if you're gonna break it down into
Yeah, but I don't. It doesn't need to be thought about that hard, though. It's just, it is what it is. I mean,
I think there's room to discuss that, though. I mean, it was a question asked us.
Yeah,
it might not need to be broke down like that, but
I mean, that's why I collect. Because I get enjoyment out of it. I mean, other people get enjoyment out of gardening. People might question, why do you garden? That's so fucking. Why don't you just go buy your radishes at the grocery store? Because it's not the same to them. They get enjoyment out of planting and growing and harvesting them. And, that's what they do. It's no different. Everyone has their hobbies. Some people build models.
I wish everyone had their hobbies. I tell my cousin all the time, dude,
I don't
need to get
understand
a
how
fucking
people...
hobby, because I would literally go insane if it wasn't for the podcast and YouTube and collecting movies. I would
You know, it
literally
is
go
true.
insane.
There's a very small percentage of people, I think, that don't do anything extracurricular in their life, like either play
I know a
sports or
lot
do
of them.
something.
A lot of them. Everybody around me is
Not me, man. A lot of my friends don't play sports and stuff, and they really don't. They don't collect anything and stuff. But what they do is their hobby. They fucking kill things. They're hunters.
Yeah.
That's what they do. That's their thing. And they spend all year preparing for their big trips, and it's all they fucking talk about. Their goddamn camo and their fucking hillbilly shit. God, I hate that. It's so annoying to me. I'm not gonna lie. Like Super Bowl, people start piping up about their damn hunting. I'm like, fuck off. We don't all do that shit. But it's the same thing, you know. Like, I don't talk about movies and stuff around them because it's not interesting to them. But that's their hobby. That's what makes them happy. Go ahead, do it.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's really what it comes down to, is that it's a hobby, and that's kind of the only way that I could explain why I do it instead of watching, because I do love movies, but like he said, like, why collect them if you're not a rewatcher, you don't watch special features or whatever, and it's like at the end of the day, that is the only, because it makes us happy, would be the only like logical explanation.
I always question people that don't rewatch films either, because if you love a film, like, why wouldn't you just want to watch it again? You know, like,
I mean, well, my rewatching has dramatically changed. Like, I don't rewatch really within a year. I won't watch the same movie twice in a year usually, unless we're covering it. And it's because there's just so much out there that I haven't watched that I don't have time. If I'm gonna spend the time that I do have.
I always make time to watch some of my favorite films over and over again, because it just makes me happy, right? I don't want to ever make this feel like it's a job, or I don't have time to enjoy it, you know, in full, you know. So I do, like, I'll watch fucking whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I rewatch films quite often.
My thing is, you watch, like, I don't watch that many movies, and I guess it's not because I don't have time, just because I don't want to. I can't watch, you know, more than 2 or 3 a day, and that's like really pushing it for me, because I can't. I'm OCD.
And some people are like, you watch 2 or 3 a day? Holy shit.
I mean, I am from a generation that is run by technology, and as much as I regret to inform everybody, it like really did kind of corrupt me as well, and I really get, like, I'll have to look at my phone, or I'll have to check the news, or look at MMA stuff, or play Xbox. Like, I need to switch up what I'm doing, like, every hour.
Or commenting in Facebook Messenger group chats.
Yeah. So that's the thing here. So I mean, that's really why I don't really rewatch anymore. Rewatch that much anymore. You know, I really do love watching new stuff, though. Like, that's kind of how it used to be, where all I would do was watch Friday the 13th and Elm Street and Chainsaw and all these like big franchises that I loved. Now all I want to do is watch stuff that I've never seen. So it's kind of interesting how you change a little bit over time. But with that said, we do have a few more things. We better get into these voicemails before we run out of time here. And I mean, we have a good bit of them, so let's hop into those. What do you actually do?
Voicemails.
Is there one that you want to go to first, or does it matter?
No, you can just kind of play them on how you have them, and let's go from there.
First one we have, and there's a few more things we have to get to, guys, including some feedback that I haven't got to yet. So we're gonna try to go through these a little bit quicker today. So here's the first one from Lawrence.
Hey guys, it's Lawrence.
Hey Lawrence.
I've just been listening to the podcast about the cat people, and yeah, I've got
Well, at least someone listened to it.
So it's doing kind of weird things. For being a smartphone, it's actually fairly stupid. But my question was about zombies, and more specifically the zombie genre. I wanted to know, what would you do to make zombies interesting? What would you do to make them different from the generic type that we all know as the Romero zombies? Anyway, have a great time, guys, and love hearing your podcast. Keep it up.
Okay, so what would we do to make zombies a little more interesting? Moodz, you have anything?
Yeah, it's interesting because you hear the question all the time. The zombie genre is very stale. Like they don't really bring a lot of new elements to the zombies themselves. There's different ideas in films, around the zombie genre, but the zombies themselves. I mean, we went from very slow moving zombies, the Romero ones, to the Dawn of the Dead remake where there were running zombies, and that was kind of a transition a little bit. Would you not agree?
Yep.
The running zombies was kind of
Oh,
different.
you
but
mean the zombies from 28 Days Later?
the zombies from 28 Days Later? No, because there is no zombies in that film.
Oh yeah.
You mean the infected people? Yeah.
Oh, you mean the one that on the cover it says like a groundbreaking move in the zombie genre? That one?
Which is a totally irrelevant quote considering there's no zombies in that film. Who the fuck is writing this stuff? But yeah, zombies themselves are very kind of standard when you think about it. There's certain films that focus on elements like Return of the Living Dead where they're kind of, they're brains. They're about eating brains. And other films, they just eat whatever. They're zombies. They walk around and there's not really a whole lot you can do. I mean, films have explored a lot of different things with zombies, but I was kind of thinking that turning zombies into more like almost like a vampire, in a way, not with the blood thing, but like, say zombies, this has been done before in a film too, but zombies can only, kind of walk the earth and do what they do at nighttime. It's kind of like vampires. I know this has been explored in a movie that came out, last year before? I thought it was actually a really cool idea.
I Am Legend are kind of like zombie vampires too.
Yeah, and I like the idea of the zombies only being able to come out of the rise from the dead at nighttime, and that's they can't daywalk. I do like that premise. So like in the daytime, if they were to still be alive or whatever, not hide, so they would essentially melt, kind of like vampires. The daylight makes them fire up. They explode into fire flames. Maybe make the zombies breedable. Maybe they're very almost sexually active. Now we're getting a little ridiculous, but I don't think I've ever seen that before. Zombies that are kind of impregnated. I don't know. But they don't focus on just eating the whole body and stuff. They focus on just eating certain parts of the body, say private areas like, tits and asses and vaginas and cock and balls, So you got like a very specific zombie here, only able to hunt at night. They can talk, maybe they can talk. The daylight actually destroys them. They're sexually active but they only feast on private parts.
Okay. Me personally,
so it's like a completely different zombie.
Me personally, I honestly don't like messing with the zombie genre too much. In terms of the zombies themselves, I feel like if you take the setting of the film, or you take the like a key plot that kind of makes it unique with the characters or whatever, I think that's what you mess with. Messing with the zombies themselves, I'm not a fan of it. It always seems gimmicky to me, and it never really works how I like it. Whether. I think the best I've seen it done was like Return of the Living Dead, where they like talk and stuff. And even then you're blurring the lines of gimmicky and not. I think that I like maybe if there was a little bit more science behind it. Like I read that book that I forget his name, but he wrote it. It was like
so you want like a serious zombie.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like my zombie? Those don't sound serious.
Oh no, they sound completely serious. What, are you kidding me? No, but yeah, I mean, like I my favorite zombie movies are the serious ones, the Romero films. Like, and it's all about the characters. So if you want to mess with stuff, mess with the characters. Maybe add a little bit more science to the zombies. Like, oh, why can this one move a little bit faster? Oh, it's because he's less rotted. You never really hear them say stuff like that. If you want to make them speedy or slower, like. I like stuff like that, and for the most part, I just like my classic zombie setup where people are stuck somewhere and they're zombies, and I don't like too much messing with it. It's all make unique characters, make me different things I haven't seen with the characters, and that's kind of what I would do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that answers your question, Lawrence. Here's another voicemail from Lawrence here.
Hey, it's Lawrence. I'm just calling you guys because on the horror group, I left a question. I was wondering what your guys' answer would be to this. I asked, what two animals would you combine to make a creature feature horror film. And a lot of people got really excited about this and started putting some really crazy stuff on there, like a snake and a bat, a octopus and a T-Rex, all sorts of crazy stuff. But what would you do? What kind of creature would you put in a horror film? Comedy or otherwise. I'm pretty sure that you would want to keep it serious.
It's all comedy.
But it doesn't matter if the creature's ridiculous. Just let us know what you would do. Anyway, have a great time, guys. Peace out.
Oh, shit, that makes me laugh. Oh, fuck. First thing came to my mind is the first thing I wrote down. I was like, man, I got to keep this thing in Canada. I know, like, you can find these animals in other parts of the world, too, but, I mean, you know, a little more south. But I was just thinking, if you mixed a bear with a moose, because
my God, that would be scary.
It would be scary because people don't realize how big mooses actually really are. They're fucking ginormous, and bears are bears. They're bulky, they're huge. But if you like kind of blended those two together, you have this big bulky bear with these long moose legs with a huge rack on the head, and man, it would be fucking scary with the ability that bears have to like maneuver and stuff. Oh fuck, this is a scary animal. Huge scary animal. Yeah. Call that thing call it the boos. Call it a boos.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a herd of meese by themselves are scary.
A herd of meese? I know, right?
That's a reference to an older episode.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I'm thinking like something like a porcupine snake. I think that would be pretty scary.
Porcupine snake?
Yeah, like a cobra pine or something, or a porcua bra, or a rattle porcia.
It is frightening, man, because porcupines kind of freak me out a little bit, and snakes are snakes.
Yeah.
It's a good combo.
Yeah. What the hell would that look like? I
don't know,
Basically,
man.
it would be a snake that, like, literally every part of its body is just gonna kill you. Like, you know, snakes are scary enough, but add like other things that are, you know, gonna mess you up. All right, so moving on here, we got one from Derek.
Hey guys, Derek here as usual, back again after a long hiatus from voicemails, and I'm gonna try to leave one when I can, not probably every week. I'm trying to think of new ones to leave you guys. And I thought of a really well voicemail that I think you guys will dig and enjoy. So, my voicemail is this in question for the voicemail. And that is, if you could take your least favorite actor and your least favorite actress and put them in a slasher film, how would you have them killed, and who would you have them killed by? So, I think it would be interesting if you could choose, like, a different, like, killer or a way of killing them for each actress and actor. So, I'd like to hear back from you guys, and as always, wicked awesome podcast. I've been listening, and check you later. Peace out.
All right, so actresses and actors that we do not like. I really don't have many that I don't like. I guess Luke Wilson is like the only guy that I've ever just been like, ugh, I hate this guy.
I'm like that too. I hate that guy too.
And you know, if I had him in a horror movie, I'd just probably have him killed as brutally as possible. Just, you know, cause. What about you?
I didn't really think of a female, but the first person that came to my mind actually was Owen Wilson. But I was thinking, I was like, I don't know.
Owen Wilson is awesome.
No.
Luke Wilson sucks. Owen Wilson's awesome.
No. Owen Wilson is fucking atrocious. But I started thinking of horror films, and I mean, this guy I think has only ever been in maybe one, but he's I hate him so much in this movie. But I was thinking of Freddie Prinze Jr. from I Know What You Did Last Summer. I know I've talked about this on the podcast before. He's atrocious in this movie. He's just terrible. But I would put him into a film, and somehow I would throw him into a deep fryer. And before he's actually dead, I'd pull him out of that motherfucker, light him on fire, and then throw ninja stars at him. It's very, not ever gonna happen.
I see we're making an over the top horror film.
Exactly. But I was just trying to, it's a little bit of, it's a long death. It's torturous, and it's Freddie Prinze Jr., man. He needs that shit. Ugh.
All right.
I hate that guy. He's terrible.
I haven't watched that movie in a long time, but I don't remember hating him.
He's so bad.
All right, so next up we have a voicemail from what sounds to be somebody from Transylvania.
Hello, 22 shots of Moodz and Hana. This is Chuck. Yes, Chuck. I have a question for you. There have been many different vampires throughout horror films. I want to know, what is your favorite vampire character? And I also want to know who portrayed said vampire the best. I know who you must be thinking of. Is it Christopher Lee? Perhaps it's Bela Lugosi. Or maybe more modern takes. I don't know. What is your favorite vampire? Just let me know on the next podcast. Anyway, have a great night, you boys and girls. Anyway, peace out. Well, I think I've got them, didn't I, Igor? I'm a most convincing Bastion. Everyone is still on! What? Oh, shit, this touchscreen!
Yes, that was awesome. Listen,
Oh
what's
my
more
God.
awesome about that voicemail is that's the first attempt. Because once you call, you can't cancel the call. You know what I mean? And you can't send any other one. I don't even know who that was. Do you?
Not a clue, man.
Oh,
If that's someone fucking like that, when I listened to that last night, I was like, what? I had to listen to it again. I was like, I don't know who the fuck this is. I thought it was Corn Dog.
Yeah, that's the only person I thought of at first, just because he's like wacky and stuff. But I thought that was such a great voicemail. Wow. It's funny. There's a joke at the end. Good stuff, man.
It's a good vampire
I'll give you mad
voice,
points.
man. It was well played.
I almost don't want to know who it is at the same time.
Well, just keep dropping those, man. That's really funny.
So I guess I'll go first on this.
Okay.
One. My favorite performance, I think, it's a toss-up between Bela Lugosi in the original Dracula and Christopher Lee in Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, because that's the only one I've seen with him. But I thought he was so just commanding, and I think that's my favorite is the Christopher Lee one. Mm-hmm. The only other one that I could really think of is, I know that like some people like cannot stand this, but I really like the portrayal of all of the vampires in The Lost Boys. Just the like free spirited, just like loving life in this like nighttime, just like gang. I really like it. It made me want to be a vampire. So I'll go with that.
I think my favorite looking vampire of all time is probably Graf Orlok from Nosferatu.
Oh, I forgot. How did I not even remember?
I personally think that is the creepiest looking vampire.
I agree.
Ever. It's not my favorite vampire film in the world. Like, I love Nosferatu. It's not my favorite one. But man, is that ever a creepy performance? He just looks so damn cool. It's so cool. Like, my favorite overall vampire is who portrayed Dracula, I should say, is Christopher Lee. Like, nothing against Bela Lugosi. I love the Bela Lugosi one, but I think it's because Christopher Lee did so many
and they were good
portrayals, and he did a lot of really good films, Dracula films, and I think he's just more memorable in that sense. But I'm also I've watched those movies a little bit more too, but I love Christopher Lee as Dracula. I think he's great. But yeah, the creepiest looking one though is Graf Orlok, man.
Yeah,
awesome.
For sure.
Played by Max Schreck, and I want to say maybe like the Shrek movies took his name and just maybe that's where they got it from. I never really thought of that before.
I have no idea.
Max Schreck. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. So, all right. Thanks for the question there, Dracula.
That was awesome.
We have another one from Lawrence here.
Hi, guys. It's Lawrence again. I'm just calling to ask you about a film that I saw a while ago, and I absolutely love it. I don't know if I ever asked you this before. I don't think I have, but have you ever seen the film Mr. Vampire from 1985, you could probably consider it to be a horror comedy, but so it kind of is, but it's really something else. It's one of those things that's hard to describe because it's from a completely different culture. It's from, I believe, China. I'm hoping that I didn't make a whole bunch of people angry and saying, "No, that's wrong." Oh, it is wrong. It's from Taiwan.
No, I think it's from Hong Kong,
okay,
actually.
I just had someone yell at me saying it's Taiwan.
I think it's Hong Kong.
But the film is really amazing. The vampires they have there are very different than the ones we've come to know, and their ghosts are far different. Yeah. I was wondering if you had seen it, because I think if you haven't, it would be a really refreshing view on something that's become very stale here in the States. So, if you've seen it, what are your thoughts on it? If you haven't, could you maybe consider doing the entire series? Granted, the first one is the best, but you're doing so many series reviews, I thought I'd just throw this one out there. Anyway, have a great time, guys. Bye.
All right, so that was Lawrence asking. I didn't catch the title. What was it, Moodz?
Mr. Vampire. And someone screamed in the background it was from Taiwan. I'm pretty positive it's from Hong Kong. I think it's a Hong Kong film. I know the language is Cantonese, but I think they also speak that in Taiwan too, I believe. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's from Hong Kong. I actually have seen this film, but I've seen it so many years ago. I don't really remember it too much. I remember it being very, very odd. And all I remember from the film was a lot of like really strange kung fu fighting. And I believe that there's even like the hopping vampires in it. I could be mistaken about that. I need to revisit this one. I do not own it, and it is long out of print and goes for ridiculous prices, which is kind of a shame. And I've actually had it on a list. I could even prove that I've had it on a list to buy forever, and it's just I've never seen a reasonable price to get the film at. So, but yeah, he is right though. From what I remember, it's kind of this movie came out before Chinese Ghost Story, which if you've seen a Chinese Ghost Story is very, very fucking strange in itself. It's just, I posted a picture on my Instagram one time and not a lot of people liked it because I don't think a lot of people have actually seen the movie. If you do look up a Chinese Ghost Story, it's always on lists of films you need to see before you die.
Oh, yeah. I know.
It's always one of those films that pops up on there, and I checked it out finally, and my God, it is strange. It is really, really strange. It's very, not in a sense kind of slapsticky, but it's done differently. It's that type of Hong Kong humor mixed in with a lot of like kung fu elements and stuff, and it's like a ghost story, but their ghosts are different. Like he was saying, it's very strange. It's very not North American. It's very different, and it's very cool to watch. And I think Mr. Vampire is kind of along the same lines as that too. But yeah, I can't quite remember it, man. Sorry. I wish I could comment on it more.
Yeah, and since it's out of print, that probably means that we won't do it anytime soon.
I think the cheapest copy around here I've come across is $55, which is such a shame. Like you can get Mr. Vampire 2 on Blu-ray, I think, for more than or less than half the price of that. So, sucks.
All right, so moving on here, we have Rob from Georgia. He has a two-parter. He gets cut off in the first part, so we'll just move into the second part after the first.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia. Just watched The Green Inferno, I don't know, a week or two ago or whatever, and listened to the commentary, and I don't know, I had a couple thoughts, and I'm just going to throw them out there for you, and see what you guys think. In contrast to the older ones, Cannibal Ferox or even Holocaust, that movie, The Green Inferno, it just seemed too colorful. I don't know what it was. It felt too lush. It just seemed like it had too much of a nice feel to it. I don't know. I think it could have benefited from a bit more of a washed out or desaturated look. It just, I don't know, too colorful. I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but it just, I don't know. I wonder, what it would have looked like in 16 millimeter. A little bit more grainy or rough. I'm not sure, but that's, the other thing is I'm surprised that movie didn't feel mean to me. It just, when you think of like Wes Craven's Last House on the Left or even Hooper's Chainsaw, even Romero's Night of the Living Dead, the thing is those guys, they were pissed off at the world when they made those movies. The vibe is heavy, and it's, as far as, it's far as I'm concerned, is what makes those movies endure. You know, much like Metallica's Angry album, you know, and Justice for All. The loss of Cliff was devastating, and the result was a few guys, you know, that were hating the world for it. I think that's why that album endures. You know, there's something to say about real passion that's poured into something. There's a quality or a spirit that results when, I think, when someone pours or you know, someone pulls out their anger or all their passion into something, you feel it. You know, Eli said in his commentary that he wanted to shoot a piranha scene, you know, but for whatever reason it didn't happen. You know, could you imagine a scene reminiscent of the end of Chainsaw when Sally burst through the window, bling in terror, but rather Roth would be victim, having bursted out of the tree line into a river only to be consumed by a school of piranhas? I mean, that could have been the defining moment or a defining moment that would have set that movie
It's a
off
better ending.
Side, you know, like Last House or even Chainsaw. You know, if you would have, I think if you would have let that jungle literally become an infernal of hell, you know, I think there was a little bit of that in the what I'll call the almost infamous ant scene, but I don't know if it ever really quite carried itself out. You know, Rob Zombie gets it. I mean, at least in like Rejects, I mean, there's this like air of meanness to that movie. That movie's just mean. You know, Infernal just doesn't. It just didn't feel mean to me, in spite of some of the carnage we saw. It never felt heavy. I'm not sure if you. I mean, I'm not sure if you guys see that or not, but I guess I just expected more from that movie. But I was a little disappointed, but it was all right. I mean, a little disappointed, but I don't know. I think there's just something to say about, you know, this idea.
All right, we'll skip to his second one now.
Anyhow, sorry about that. That was basically it. Just, I guess, you know, with a title like The Green Inferno, I mean, I was really expecting something harsh, something really, really mean. And it just never, I don't know, it just never felt like that. I don't know what you guys expected or what. I know it's been talked about a little bit, but I guess I was a little surprised. So that's why I wanted to just spend a few minutes and share a few comments. And, you know, I'm not sure what you guys think. But anyways, great show last week, and looking forward to this show this week. And hope all is well. And we'll talk to you again soon. All right. Bye.
All right, so that's Rob bringing up some actually very good points, and I like the way he's thinking, because I think that's interesting that he mentioned it. You know, at the time of them, you know, the other directors making the films that he mentioned, that they were very angry, and that comes back to the conversation we had that Lawrence sparked a while ago about is there like history when there's something, you know, wrong with the world, does it result in there being more mean-spirited films, where I said it did. And I think that's an interesting comparison, because I used Hostel as an example, you know, like Hostel and all, and those films like post 9/11 as sort of an example of the war in Iraq and stuff as an example. And that's an Eli Roth film. Is the world just too happy that Eli Roth cannot make a good cannibal film, a hardcore, mean-spirited cannibal film? Is that what's going on here? Or was it just a missed opportunity?
I think it's a missed opportunity. I don't think it has anything to do with the world right now. I think a lot of the people's opinions on this film too, I think are a little bit, they're almost, it's hard to really kind of pinpoint exactly what it is, but I think there was a lot of buildup to The Green Inferno. Like, we were waiting for this film for a couple years to come out. You know, there was a lot of talk about it, and everyone's expecting this crazy piece of cinema, you know, Cannibal Holocaust mixed with like new age effects and just craziness. I think a lot of it has to do maybe with the buildup, that a lot of people are a little bit disappointed in it. That's just maybe my opinion. But I have actually rewatched The Green Inferno since. And my original rating on the film was a 7. And, you know, honestly, man, since I rewatched it, my rating actually dropped on it. Yeah, man. I don't know what it is about the movie. And I never really thought about it until Rob had said that the movie just doesn't feel mean. And then when I listened to it last night, I started thinking about it, and I said, you know what? That's a really good point, because this movie is filled with atrocious, annoying, shitty characters. And I think that it's just not mean. He's not portraying that meanness towards these characters I think it's a missed opportunity, really, is what it is. You know, there's so much potential to just destroy these characters in the meanest possible ways because of what he's showcasing with the characters. and it's just definitely not there. As for looking pretty clean, yeah, it is really clean. That was one of my criticisms on the film right away. I was actually expecting it to look a little more drawn out and washed out and stuff based on the setting and
Yeah,
exactly
now
what
that
he's
you
going
mention
for.
it, it looks like they just built those hut, like they don't feel real, like all the huts and stuff. Like it just feels like.
I'm very glad that he brought that up because it was one of my first criticisms. I said, wow, this movie really does look a little too clean and crazy. But I never thought about the meanness. But that is a really, really good point, Rob. And, it got me thinking. It really did get me thinking. And honestly, I didn't know about the piranha thing. But again, thinking about that, Jesus Christ, besides, the film looking way too clean and stuff. And I always thought the ending was just beyond atrocious. I don't know what Eli was thinking with the ending that he did put in the film and why he didn't shoot this piranha scene, but I think the piranha scene, oh my God, so much better sounding.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird. Like I am honestly, it did make my top 10. I do like it.
Yeah.
I did think that it was pretty. I guess there was moments in the film that I thought were really intense, like the plane crash and before the plane crash when they're in protesting, and I like the social commentary there and stuff. Yeah. But I honestly did find it one of the more disappointing films of last year, and it was partially due to hype. I hyped that film, not from other people saying how good it was, because I didn't really hear much. I heard a lot of negative stuff, honestly, before I watched it, but it was the hype that I built for myself, because in 2013 when we did the top 10 show, I said it's my number one film I'm looking forward to. Guess what? In 2014 at the top 10 show, I said the same thing, because it still wasn't out. It was a long time waiting on it. And it just disappointed. I just don't think that it was that good in terms of what I built up in my head. But at the same time, I still did like it. But I could see my rating dropping a little bit, noticing more flaws and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, good voicemail as usual, Rob from Georgia.
Yeah, excellent.
Love voicemails.
I love those voicemails because it got me thinking. I was like, damn, that's a really good point. And, I sat there and I would listen to the voicemails in between these films I was watching last night, and it actually delayed me from watching my next film by like an hour. I sat there and thought about it and just like, Jesus Christ, man, like those are good. And thank you, Rob, for doing that, because that's what the show's about. Conversation and thinking about, and taking other people's opinions and views on things and relocating them into your own thoughts. So,
all right.
Very cool.
With that said, we have one more voicemail and then a couple questions. We're going to try to go through these pretty fast. This one is, I'll just play it.
All right. What's going on, everyone out there on the 22 Shots of Movies and Horror? This is your favorite Jewish friend, Herman, and I just wanted to call in to remind everybody that JP is still a Mexican fucking asshole. Please remember that. JP is a Mexican fucking asshole. I love you all. Goodbye.
I love how he doesn't even mention me. He doesn't say, hey, Moodz. JP, you're a fucking asshole. Yeah, thanks a lot. Herman. Did he say his name was Herman?
No, he said Jeremy.
Did he? I thought he said Herman. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think he was losing some service there or something. But yeah, nice to hear from Jeremy calling in and calling me an asshole. A fucking Mexican asshole.
Yeah, not just
Mexican
an asshole.
Fucking asshole.
Yeah, and thanks for saying hi to me too. That's the real dick move there.
Yeah. So those somebody actually asked on the last podcast, like, where is Jeremy? So I
didn't want to be rude. I was like, we did talk about this quite a bit, but
yeah. So there he is for you, listener. Also, I think we have just a couple more things to get to. Luis Soto or Luis, I'm not sure. It's not the one that we Skype with all the time. It's the other Luis, but I don't know if his name's Luis as well. He asked, given that the Academy has started their more diverse sort of voting echelon, is it possible that we could see this affect the horror genre? For example, could we see more horror films starring people of color? Additionally, in the last 5 years, what horror film in your eyes should have received an Academy Award nomination? For example, I believe It Follows should have received a nod this year for its score. Thank you for your time, my two compadres.
Man, I never really think about the Academy Awards because I don't watch them. I generally boycott the shit out of them. I don't know, man. The way I see awards is that it doesn't prove anything. And I don't even consider them to be a valid point of anything. Because first of all, we don't know who the fucking Academy is, who's doing this voting and stuff. If it was done by the people, that's a little different. Yeah, I got a lot of beefs with award shows, man, that aren't, fan based and fan voted.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, who the fuck is the Academy? Like, who are these people? Like, if I don't even know where these nominations and who these people are and stuff, it just seems very, very foreign to me.
You know who I think it should be voted by is the filmmakers, like actresses and actors, and open it up to anybody who's like been in a film in the last year.
I think it should all be fan based.
See, I find fan based things problematic because just in other areas of
but actors and actors, I mean, that's a little problematic too. There's really no perfect way of doing this, but I think the best way of, I mean, look,
well, isn't that how the NFL does the Pro Bowl though? The players vote.
Yeah, I mean, it's same way. Like we had a fan vote for top 10 in the group. I mean, it was just up to them. Who gets it. I mean, there is People's Choice Awards. Like what MTV or whatever hosts those or whatever. I kind of like that idea better. I mean, it's the fans. They're the people that are watching these films. They're the fans, and they're the ones that should have the voice on who gets in and stuff. And I mean, honestly, if there was a fan base voting for the Academy Awards, I think something like It Follows Score maybe would have got a nod.
I don't know if there's enough of us. I feel like, I don't know, maybe
that's the thing, maybe. But I mean, at least there's more of a chance. Who else? Who's the Academy? Nobody knows. It's ridiculous. This privacy and this, it's like a fucking conspiracy, man.
I just don't know enough about it to really comment on it. I just don't like any like mainstream award shows because I just feel like they're all have agendas.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's been many films and things over the years, that should have gotten nods for, best actors and actresses and things like that.
Yeah,
but
I would. I don't know what year this came out, but it might be in the last 5 years. The Let the Right One In. Like, I feel like that could have been nominated for a bunch of different things.
Yeah, that's a great example. Yeah, I mean, look at Angela Bettis's performance in May. I mean,
I still haven't seen it, so
really, really amazing. I mean, there's lots of things that are just never going to get the nods at these big award shows and stuff. And I mean, the horror genre, I mean, they don't even televise anything to do with. Is there even a category for that anymore? I don't know. Like, I don't even think so. But even if there was, they don't televise it. Like, people at home don't see it. Like, what was it with the music awards? They fucking. They didn't even have like the hip hop category on TV. It was like there was an uprising from that 1 year, shit like that. I mean, this is kind of the same boat, right? I don't know.
All right, so hopefully that answered your question. Thanks for writing in. Next up, we have just an update here. The co-director of Tex Montana Will Survive, we mentioned 2 episodes ago, actually must have heard that show, and he said, "Thanks for talking about our Kickstarter, guys. It's definitely a scary model. Things have slowed down to where we are not going to hit the target goal, so we appreciate getting the word out there anyway." He also says Jeremy Gardner is very approachable on Twitter and social media. I'll have him listen to the show in a few minutes. Christian Stella, co-director of Tex Montana Will Survive. Really cool. I don't know how he heard the show, if somebody tweeted it to him or he just was searching Google or something, because like I didn't like share it with him or anything. So that's interesting though.
Yeah, that's cool. I would actually like to know also.
Yeah, so if you guys, if anybody out there still is considering like donating, definitely
give them your funds,
give
man.
them your money. So after that, just a final updates here. We have the iTunes reviews. There are more. So we have 8 total reviews now, but one of them is a double review, so like posted twice, so technically 7. By the time you guys hear this show, you'll have exactly 1 week to get 3 more reviews to be entered in the prize. And you know what, guys? I decided every person that leaves a review will be entered in all future prizes that we do, whether it's for other things or not, because these are important and you guys took your time out of your day to do this annoying process. So any type of contest thing we do here, I will at least offer up a additional prize, or we'll put your name in,
Oh, I guess I
do
could
it as well.
probably offer up Dylan's DVD copy of Gravy that he left in my house. I know Dylan's probably listening to this and he's probably laughing right now, but he did tell me he didn't want it back, so maybe I'll just offer that up as a prize because there is fans of it out there, just not in my house.
Okay, yeah. So we have one from Rob at Georgia here. This is it. The long search is over. Anything horror related is here for your edification. I've been listening for about a year, and both my knowledge and collection have benefited greatly. These guys are brutally honest in their opinions, but very personable with relating to their listeners, which I've personally appreciated. It is what it is. There is no other. 22 shots of awesomeness. Thank you, Rob at Georgia. Strangeland_BLS. These guys are awesome to listen to. They really brought back my love for horror, my love for movie collecting. I found out about so many great movies because of them. Keep giving us awesome episodes, and I'll keep listening. Yes, there's another one. Andy French here. Love this podcast. Best horror podcast around. Hosts are awesome with endless knowledge on anything horror related. Very lengthy cast each week that always flies by. I can't say enough good things about this cast. It is just simply amazing. If you're into horror, please do yourself a favor and check out the 22 Shots podcast. I promise you won't be disappointed. Good stuff. And the leaning is the last one here. Top Shelf Horror Podcast. These guys are wildly entertaining and at the same time prove to be knowledgeable cinephiles. I've been listening to their show through YouTube for about half a year. 22 Shots is a great place to find industry-related news, in-depth film reviews, commentary updates on home media for all collectors out there. It is particularly good for harboring any nostalgia for retro horror, cult, and B films. Wow, guys, thanks for those reviews. They're really going to help us in the future with iTunes. We also have 11 ratings on there. It's already popping up in the feed over the other old feed, which is exactly what we wanted. So
yeah, those are well written too.
Yeah. If you guys want to keep doing that,
I think a lot of those reviews are bullshit. But I'm just joking, guys.
Yeah,
really, we don't know anything. We're just fronting over here.
In case you haven't noticed, I love reading them because it's like now my ego can just grow.
Yeah, you showed a little pep in your step there, reading those off, buddy. Like, he's just, had a little bit of a boner, I think, too.
Yep. So that is all the updates we have for this show. Thanks for the voicemails, comments, questions, concerns, reviews, ratings, all that stuff.
Yeah. Alrighty. So that is going to conclude Mood Swings this week. And let's jump into what we watched this week, the WWW portion of the show. And it is very self-explanatory. We talk about some movies and we review them.
That's true.
That's what we do. So what did we watch this week? Well, I will start. I watched...
Whoa, you're going to start?
Yeah.
Wow.
That might as well, happens. Right? Yeah, I wanted to give you a break. It seemed like you were talking a lot there. You probably got a sore throat now.
Yep, a little bit. I got a little cough. It's itchy.
Yeah, me too, man, actually. I'm still fucking sick. It sucks. But the film I had mentioned earlier in the show that I wanted to talk about was a film that came out in 2014. It just came out on home media in North America here in 2016, released by Scream Factory. And it is a film called Zombie Fight Club. Now, I wanted to check this out because I hadn't really heard of anybody actually watching this movie recently, so I was like, okay, I gotta check this out. It has a tagline of "You only die twice." Man, like, really? Zombie film, you only die twice? I don't know.
I'm almost certain that has been used multiple times.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, oh my god. I mean, it's a zombie film. You only die twice. Yeah, it's fucking obvious. So basically, this movie here is, man, okay, this is one of the weirdest pieces of cinema I've watched in a while. Okay, the storyline is very kind of non-existent here. There's really no reason or explanation to why these people are turning into zombies. So basically, it's a bunch of people that are living in this kind of riddled crime area of the city, and it takes place for the first hour of the film inside this building, which, like I said, is very crime riddled. It's very run down and shitty and stuff. I think the minor explanation that they give you to why these people turn into zombies is there's some type of like weird overcast in the city. There's some like dark clouds and stuff. But anyways, it basically starts turning people into zombies. I guess that's the explanation. That's what they give you. It's really non-existent, very stupid, and not. It's I don't know. It's very odd how they did it. And it follows just a bunch of characters that are, obviously turning into zombies and stuff. There's this girl, her and her boyfriend are getting ready to go out or whatever. He ends up getting killed, so she ends up teaming up with this other guy. And the first hour of the film is essentially just them trying to escape the building. Somehow they're locked in there. They're locked inside this building. And honestly, I really enjoyed the setting of the first hour of this film because it's inside a building. I love anything. I've mentioned this before. I love films that take place in buildings or high risers and stuff. I like that setting. It's cool because it's like room to room and stuff. It's not very explained why they're locked inside this building, but this is what it is. So she teams up with this guy and they're trying to get out of this building. And there's just a lot of crazy action. And I will say one cool thing about this film is that the action starts instantaneously. It's crazy. Like there's like I said, there's no story to this film. So the action starts right away. Zombies start happening. They start killing off these rapper guys and these drug dealers and stuff. And it's nonstop action. Of course, this one right here doesn't really know what it wants to be. This film has absolutely no direction whatsoever. I haven't seen a movie like this in a long time. It's like he was just shooting scenes going, yeah, I'll throw that in there. I'll throw this in there. It's very, at times, trying to be funny, almost slapsticky. There is just so much action and kung fu scenes in this and zombie action. It's ridiculous. The effects in the film are nuts. They go from practical effects to like really poor CGI. So they don't really know what they want to do with the film there either. And I don't even understand why some of the scenes are CG, because it seems like some of the CG scenes that they did were almost easier than some of the scenes they did with practical effects. I don't really understand the whole meaning of why they use the effects in this way. But yeah, there's just, for the first hour of this film, like I said, it's this couple that's trying to get out, nonstop action, so much ridiculousness that's going on. And to top it off, it's very strange too, because this movie is a Chinese film or a Hong Kong film or something. Anyways, the native language is Cantonese. And for some odd reason, the girl in the film and one of the other guys speaks English. So it keeps going back and forth from the native Cantonese language to English in certain scenes. So you're watching on the native language and then it starts going into English. It's fucking strange. I've never seen anything like this before. It's just really, really strange how they did it. So that's the first hour of your film. And then they finally break out of the film and it switches gears 100% completely. So now it kind of switches into the subplot where the basically the walkers, the zombies, have taken over the earth. And now there's a group of survivors that are living underground. And now the leader of this underworld, which is kind of like a post-apocalyptic type setting. That's pretty much what it looks like. It looks like something straight out of Mad Max or an Italian ripoff. That's what they're living in. And now the leader of this was this guy who was in the first half of the film, and he was like this very kind of polite, plush type teacher who's now turned big head mogul of the apocalypse. He's the crime leader. He's the crime boss that runs this underworld. It just makes absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever. And now he's pitting zombies against people, and they're betting on it and stuff, which doesn't make any sense in itself, because what are you betting on? You know, they're betting money and shit like that. It's like,
hey. Gamblers will bet on anything, okay?
But I mean, this is like post-apocalyptic. They're only in the underworld. There's only a few survivors. It's so ridiculous, but
they did that in Land of the Dead.
Yeah, I guess so. But what I'm saying is this movie just really lacks in direction and completely in full. Like I said, there's no story. The first hour of the film is a completely different movie. The second half, literally in between them escaping and going into the underworld, there's an explanation. It says, okay, now the world has been taken over by zombies. This is a year later. And now it shows the surviving characters in this underworld, and it completely shifts gears and it's a different movie. No direction whatsoever in this movie. It's really fucking bizarre. It's almost like the director was trying to make the first hour of the film as a feature length, and he just couldn't do it or something. It would have been fine if they had just extended the first. It's literally an hour before it switches gears. If they had just extended it like another 10-15 minutes and made that the full length kind of short film, that would have been fine. But to switch gears doesn't really make sense. But that's where you get your name in your film from, Zombie Fight Club, because the first hour of the film has nothing to do with Zombie Fight Club whatsoever. really, really fucking strange. And so it gets into this. And honestly, the last half an hour of the film is really not, it's terrible. You know, this whole underworld zombie fight club action. And it's even got like straight up shout outs or nods to like Italian, like women in prison scenes. There's a scene where some of the females are in the shower and they're all naked and stuff. And it's just kind of thrown in there just for the sake of being thrown in there. Like I said, lack of direction. There's a lot of crazy shit that's happening in this last half an hour that doesn't make any fucking sense. So it's almost like they threw the last half an hour of this film as like a short film in its own that they just kind of tagged onto the first hour of this other film. And oh man, this is a wild, wild ride. I will say the zombies look pretty cool in the film. I will say they look kind of cool. No explanation to why they are, unfortunately. But yeah, this one is kind of an abomination in filmmaking because there's no direction. That's the biggest problem with this movie. I just wish they had extended the first hour, made another 10, 15 minutes, and that would have been your film. Maybe change the name to High Rise Zombie, whatever. Who knows? Just have something more relative to what most of the story was. This is a fucking weird one, man. I couldn't get over the Cantonese to English and the practical to, you know, CG effects and stuff. Whew, man. This was a wild ride. I will say highly entertained throughout the thing because I was wanting to see what the hell was going to happen next. Like there is fucking a scene when they go to break out of the building. For some weird reason, they break out, but they end up driving through the building. Like it's shit like that doesn't make any fucking sense. What they almost like broke back into the building to get out. It's fucking ridiculous. One of the most ridiculous films I've watched in such a long time. If you like these stupid kind of over the top, doesn't know what it wants to be, slapstick comedy. No, it's not as ridiculous as some of the, you know, as for the comedy elements as some of like, you know, Tokyo Gore Police and things like that. This one just doesn't have any direction. And I'm going to give this one about a 3.5 out of 10. It's a pretty shit film. It's highly entertaining because there is non-stop action. That's one thing I will give it credit for. First 3 minutes of the movie, there's zombie action. It never lets up the entire movie. Never. There's so many on-screen deaths in this. It's fucking insane. But yeah, not a great film. 3.5 out of 10.
All right. So now that you told me the whole movie, I doubt I'm going to have to watch it.
Well, the thing is, I kind of wanted to get into it because it's like I said, it's two different movies.
Mm-hmm. But I'm saying like that was a thorough review in which it ended in a bad rating. I probably will never need to see this movie now.
I just wanted to discuss the whole thing because if I just gave the first hour of the film, you'd be like, where the fuck does Zombie Fight Club come from?
Yeah. So, question, how are we doing? 1, 2, what are we doing? Just so I know, because I have to review one specific film for press.
I guess we'll just do 2. Just do 2.
Okay. All right, so the first one that I watched, I'll be brief on this one. It's from 2002. Of course, we are in preparation for our 2002 show, and in case you haven't noticed, this one will not make my top 10. That's why I'm reviewing it here and not there. This one is They, or Wes Craven's presents They from 2002. Somebody asked a long time ago what our pet peeves are for horror, and to me, it's putting a director or filmmaker's name in the title of the movie. I hate it. John Carpenter's Vampire, like, just don't do that. Just call it Vampires.
Oh, fuck, speaking of that, man, you know what I watched it? To speak in 2002, I watched John Carpenter presents Vampires Los Manotos or whatever it is. Like the sequel. Yeah, I watched that the other night, man. The one that's starring John Bon Jovi from 2002.
That's funny.
No, it's actually not funny.
Is it decent?
It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. But it's not great.
Okay, so this film opens up with a young kid who is very scared of the dark, obviously. He is trying to tell his mother, like, you know, they come for me at night or whatever, and then he's attacked. We flash forward many years later where this person is now an adult, where we're introduced to a female, and she is kind of doing her thing. There's a little bit of character development early on. You kind of get a sense for it. She's very, like, typical, like, lead character-y. And she gets a call from that young boy who is now an adult, and he's like super stressed out, and he's rambling on about all kind of nonsense, and he's saying that they marked him when he was a kid, and now they are back, and they are going to kill him, and they, you know, this and that. And then he, in a scene that is very, very similar to that of the Nightmare on Elm Street 2002 or 2010 remake. So I really think that film like stole this scene directly, where they're in the diner I mean, dude, I don't know if you have seen this movie recently, but that scene is like exactly like the Elm Street remake scene. So the Elm Street remake scene is exactly like They then, because it came out after. But that's beside the point.
I actually have it sitting just over here. I haven't watched it recently though.
So anyway, we fight. He kind of kills himself. So basically, that's kind of your setup of the film. She meets all of his friends who have similar experiences to her. They're all seeing these visions, and they all have this traumatic childhood thing that happened to them that they can't remember. Julia sort of kind of represses it. She speaks to like a psychiatrist, and basically there's something after these people. And then that's a strong start, honestly. Like, I thought this opening to this film was pretty strong. Some creepy moments, stuff like that. Seemed like I was going to like it. And then it's just so typical after that. It's very by the numbers, like Hollywood 2002 era horror film. Like super basic, super simple. The payoff is not good. The what they is not good. It just felt very generic by the end of it. Some decent character development early on, and some decent opening setup scares and stuff like that. But then it just goes into that average territory, and it never leaves. Especially all the way into the end, the very end, the reveals, all that stuff, just super average. I'm only gonna give this one a 5 out of 10. Quality wise, in terms of filmmaking, the technical aspect, your camera work, your lighting, your character development, stuff like that, decent. Story wise, not good. So that's kind of evens out the 5 out of 10 rating on that one. Didn't really love it at all.
Wow, I was surprised even to hear a 5 out of 10 on that one.
Yeah, have you seen it?
I have.
Okay.
I really don't remember too much. I rented it back in the day, and I haven't even watched the copy that I've bought since.
It has its moments, dude. It does, like early on, like I thought it was pretty decent. Like I was digging it, and then just
It was bringing back a little bit of memories and stuff, but yeah, I don't know.
Uninspired characters and stuff. So
uninspired characters, yeah. Yeah. So get into my Italian Stallion of the week. Is a film from, what year is this? 1972, recently released by Arrow Video. So, it's going to be an awesome release, directed by Massimiliano Dallamano. He used to be he was a cinematographer on like some really cool films, actually. I think Fistful of Dollars, things like that. Like he did some spaghetti westerns, like some classic stuff, and turned director. Yeah, it's from 1972, and it is called What Have You Done to Solange? This is one that I'd never seen before. I've known about it for a long time, always wanted to check it out. He also directed a film called The Night Child, which I've never seen. I just recently got in, and I know, I think Code Red had released a Blu-ray, but I grabbed the Arrow DVD of it. So he also did the 70s version of Dorian Gray, which I've never seen also too. So this guy's got some pretty notable stuff on his short filmography. He was mostly known as a cinematographer, like I said. This is actually a really hard one to talk about because it is a giallo, of course, and basically what it is, it follows your main character, who's played by Fabio Testi, the great Fabio Testi. He is a school teacher at this college or university or whatever, he's kind of, in a way, a scumbag. He's cheating on his wife. He's out in this boat in the beginning of the film. He's out in this boat with this student, and he's getting it on with her and things like that. And she basically sees a murder happen. And of course, he's got his back to the scene and stuff, and he doesn't really believe her. He's like, I don't think you saw anything, blah, blah, blah. So that ends. And then, of course, some other murders start happening. And he starts to think that maybe these murders, like might be connected to these murders and stuff, because they keep happening around him, and he can't explain it. And the murders are specifically done to girls at this school. And now he's kind of getting freaked out and stuff. So he starts to kind of investigate himself. And of course, he also becomes a suspect himself. And he's, does a little more investigating to try and clear his name while these murders start happening. And yeah, that's pretty much what I can tell you about the story. Like I said, it's giallo, so you can expect some twists and turns in this one and stuff. This is a really enjoyable film, actually, because it's a little different. It's very kind of straightforward done. It has all those elements of a giallo, the black glove killer, great score by Ennio Morricone. The score in this film is fucking beautiful. It's just really, really well done and very well placed in the film. But yeah, this one had me guessing throughout the whole thing. I had no idea where it was going to go. And, like I said, it's very kind of straightforward in the story itself until it starts kind of developing with Fabio Tessi's character, because like I said, he starts doing some investigating and he starts figuring out things, and where it goes is really, really fucking dark. Like the way these kills happen in the film are some of the most like cringeworthy deaths I've seen in a long time. It's not even done sleazy. Unlike some other films I'll talk about, and I don't want to specifically give away the film that this is kind of comparable to in the way these girls die, because then I'll just kind of give it away. But it could be considered sleazy, but it's just vicious. It's very, very subtly vicious, the way it goes down and stuff. But I really enjoyed this one, man. It runs, about 110 minutes, kind of like a typical giallo film with some really good twists and turns, some good acting. And the kills were not a lot in this film. This one does have a pretty low body count, but I think they're satisfactory enough to keep you intrigued in this one. It's a very, very well executed giallo, and I can see why this one is very, highly been sought out over the years and stuff, because it's a good film. It's a really interesting film. It's just, unfortunately, I just can't say too much about it because it's a fucking giallo. It's a murder mystery, man. It's just unfortunate, but awesome film, man. If I had to rate this one, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Definitely one of the better giallos I've seen in a while. And I'm really glad that Arrow put this out, because it's got some awesome features and stuff on it. And definitely give this one a shot if you like your giallos. You can't go wrong with what have you done to Solange. Very, very cool. The girl that plays Solange in the film is played by what the hell's her name? Camille Keaton. I was totally brain farting on that. Yeah, I think it's Camille Keaton's one of her very first appearances in a film. So, she's very young in this, and so check it out. 9 out of 10. Awesome film. Yeah.
All right, pretty cool there. Arrow is, fuck, dude, Arrow's so good.
I always forget about like how hard it is to talk about giallos, because
yeah, you like every one you're like, oh yeah, I can't get into this one.
Like even the story, it's just because the way it develops and stuff, like you can't say anything. You don't want to give any type of even minor spoilers away, right? But lo and behold, just check it out. It's really good. It's a good fucking movie. I was just astounded at what the outcome of this film was and why the murders were happening. It's really cool. Really cool.
All right, so the film that I'm gonna get into, I was hesitant to call this one a pick of the week, so I'm not going to, even though it could probably fit in there. This is just going to be a review. I don't have a segment this week, guys. It is Hana-Dama, The Origin from 2014. This is coming to us courtesy of Olive Films. They just put out the Blu-ray a few weeks back, and I finally got around to checking this one out. I mostly avoided it and put it off to the last minute because of the runtime. It was like an hour and 40 minutes or something, 45 minutes, 47 minutes, something like that. So it was just kind of, and it's Japanese and, stuff. So this one follows a transfer student named Mizuki. She is bullied mercilessly by her classmates. Nevertheless, she is always able to maintain her composure. Kiri, who is also bullied, becomes interested in Mizuki and longs for her. The two become close. They're also introduced to a guy who is sort of the third in the group. This one, honestly, it starts off like your teen drama. It opens with a naked girl like sitting in a like alleyway or something like that, and it's kind of freaky looking. And then it goes into your sort of bully. It looks like it's setting up like a revenge film, like your Carrie or something like that. There's a girl named Mizuki who is, relatively pretty, so it's kind of weird that she's like the one that's getting all bullied and stuff. They lock her in a broom closet and she like pees and they make her clean it up, and it's just like there's a cultural difference like in the way people make fun of each other in like Japan. Like they're like, ooh, it stinks. They keep saying like it stinks, and I'm like,
I wonder if that's the translation though.
I mean, maybe, but it's like the characters are obviously like saying that it stinks because they're like pu with their nose and stuff.
I guess, right?
But I mean, it probably is partially the way that we say that word is probably different from the way they kind of incorporate it.
Does it come off like ridiculous and funny?
A little bit, a little bit. And you know, so this girl's getting bullied a lot, and she befriends this sort of weirdo girl who carries like this plush doll on her thing. And by the way, they're in like a schoolgirl. All these people are in like schoolgirl outfits, like Japanese schoolgirls, super low cut skirts, by the way. And that's a thing that like the Japanese are kind of known for, with their sort of like schoolgirl things. Anyway, it kind of escalates a little bit where we spend some time with this character. We see that she like burns like the inside of her thighs and shit, and she even with cigarettes, and you know, she obviously has problems. She actually burns her vagina directly in one scene. You don't like see it, but it's definitely like, oh, it's like it's uncomfortable to see. You know, and it kind of just, it has this, you know, you're feeling like you've seen this before, like, oh, this is going to be a cool revenge flick. And, you know, we spend a lot of time with the characters, development, stuff like that. But then we sort of get these inserted scenes of the girl's parents who are like doing these like fetishistic type of scenes where they're into some like sex fetishes. And it's like, where the hell did this come from? Like, why is this in here? You know, and then there's more scenes of just randomness thrown throughout. And then it becomes like a rape film, like a rape revenge type deal. But then it's like, you almost can't take it serious because what happens after the rape, and it, you know, and it comes out of nowhere, and you're just like, what the hell? And then like the whole third act is just completely nutty. Like the girl grows a flower on top of her head and stuff, and I'm like, what? How the hell did we get here? Like, you know, this is one of those films where you're like, I seriously don't know how we got here, but we're here, and I'm like trying to think back how we got here, and I can't think of a logical reason why all of a sudden there's a flower growing from their head, you know, a curse and stuff. And it's just like, this is a completely different movie by the end of it. I liked the early dramatic stuff. The rape was intense, and you know, the teen stuff was there. Like, it was good. Like, they were doing good. And I just really don't care for that over-the-top Japanese, it's like ridiculousness towards the end. It kind of like just, it definitely lowered my points on this one. But it was a decent film. I think that anybody who is really into these Japanese movies, these kind of interesting revenge tales, and a little maybe out there, nutty, if you will, I think that you guys will like it. So I would recommend grabbing this one. Moodz, I think you will like this one a good bit. Derek would definitely like it. I liked it a good bit as well. I just didn't love it. I give this one a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I wish I got to watch that one. Yeah, it sounds interesting. Anyways.
No, it's definitely interesting. It's shot well. Like, it's a little low budget. There's some surprising scenes that you're not really expecting in terms of nudity and stuff like that. I thought it was good.
Interesting. Cool. 6.5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I did have it at about 7-ish till like the end, like all this crazy stuff that was happening at the end. It just kind of took me out of it a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, well, that is going to do it for the What We Watch portion of the show, and now moving into the featured review of the week. And since it is, you know, on the eve of Halloween,
wrong holiday, wrong month,
wow,
wrong year,
yeah, of Valentine's Day, we are going to take it back to 2001 with a film entitled Valentine, appropriately, right?
Yeah, so this is one of the few Valentine's Day horror films. We did My Bloody Valentine last year. It was just me and you then too.
You know what? Like, we've mentioned this before on the podcast, but this is a holiday that's really underutilized for slasher films and horror films.
Mm-hmm.
Why is there
and
such
you think it would be because it's like teens and like,
yes, it's about love, and like Valentine is just screamy.
It's about sex.
It's about sex, exactly. It's like the perfect opportunity just to make endless amounts of slasher films based, you know, on Halloween, on Valentine's Day. Why do I keep saying Halloween? The fuck? I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know. I just don't know what's going on here. But yeah, Valentine from 2001. I remember watching this movie when it first came out and hating it.
I watched it when it first came out too.
I hated this movie. I thought it was atrocious. And I watched it a few years back and I ended up liking it. But do opinions go back and forth? I don't know.
Let's find out.
I guess we'll find out. So, yeah, Valentine from 2001. What are we gonna do? The short or the long one here?
I mean,
No,
either one.
We'll just do the short one because, yeah, I mean, okay, basically the short synopsis of this is 5 women that are stalked by an unknown assailant while preparing for Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Yep. So there was a opening scene that showcases a kid walking through a 6th grade dance, and he's asking all these different girls that were introduced to if they want to dance, and they all turn him down. The chubby one says yes, and then they start making fun of these like boys who actually one of them is from Shameless. He is like his first role. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But they start making fun of this weirdo kid and the girl, and the girl's like, no, I didn't want to make out with him. He like pretty much like raped me almost. And of course they like get all pissed and stuff, and she basically throws him under the bus. And then we flash forward years later. And during this scene though, we're kind of cutting back and forth to a yearbook, which is good technique. Like I like stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, then throwing underneath the bus. What a bitch.
Yeah.
You're the fat chick. Why are you throwing him underneath the bus? And they essentially just beat him down. I think one cool thing about it is that the backstory takes place in 1988. It's always a notable year,
Yeah.
like the year 1988. Great year in horror. So
yeah, so now all these girls are in their 20s.
It jumps forward 13 years? I think it says 13 years. It jumps forward. So now they're basically in their early 20s.
Yep, and basically they start. We're introduced to one of them. Their names are Kate, Paige, Shelley, Lily, and Dorothy. We're introduced to one of them early on. Of course, she is the first victim, and then we realize that these girls are all being targeted for a specific reason because we start seeing Valentines and different sort of
the killer keeps
clues.
sending them. Yeah.
Clues and different things. And then we have a police detective who's involved with sort of trying to find out who murdered their friend. And meanwhile, you have all 4 of the remaining girls sort of making their way through Valentine's Day with their different love interests.
Who the 4 girls are currently all really close friends. The first victim is they hadn't seen in a while, and this is how the story develops. You got your first victim who ends up getting killed, and the other 4 girls haven't seen her in a couple years. And of course, they're at the funeral where the detective notices that these 4 girls and starts asking questions. And that's how the developing detective story comes from in the film. It's how he kind of puts 2 and 2 together. We get more on the detective part of the story, but what are your overall thoughts? And so, I mean, the setup to the film to me, when I first watched this movie, I instantly just thought Slaughter High. It's so reminiscent of the movie Slaughter High. It's that very typical bully kind of revenge type story,
Yeah.
It's like this same setup. It's like the exact same setup as Slaughter High, except for Slaughter High's better.
Well, Slaughter High has similar problems to this one when it comes to just like random ass plot holes. So, I mean, I agree that it's pretty similar setup. The first thing that I'll say is like I had seen this film before, but it's literally been since like 2002 since I've seen it.
Yeah.
And the only things that I really remembered in my memory was like the maggot chocolates, like that really stuck out to me, which is a good scene, by the way. One of the things that I want to say right away is that this was that era where like the characters never felt real. Like they are just in a world where I would never experience. The parties are way too ridiculous and unbelievable. The dialogue and the things that they're doing and the houses they're living in and it's just so far removed from real life. And the 2000 era was really big on doing this.
Yeah, it really showcases them without a lot of development within their characters that they're doing very, very well.
Yeah,
their lives,
like they're not like, hey,
but that's what this film showcasing
or something.
But that's what this film did, man. It took like 4 really good-looking girls, or even 5. Katherine Heigl being the other one that's in this film. So it took a really good-looking cast, and they just glamorized the shit out of it. That's what it was. The interesting thing about this movie is when you watch this movie, it is one of the only films from the early 2000s that doesn't look uber dated in style and like in music. Like everything seems to kind of seem like it was just kind of made like a few years back to me. It still seems very kind of, I don't know, there was something about the style. Maybe they were just ahead of their time with the style and things like that. But like just the hairdos and the way the clothes were worn in the film, and even the music and stuff, like, you know, with the house and like the you know, almost like that kind of dance, and, you know, the soundtrack, you know.
No,
I mean,
I'm with you. I feel like that
a
it
lot of
does
those
feel
bands are still rocking today, like Linkin Park and Disturbed, and Marilyn Manson was on the soundtrack, and they're like all these bands that are still relevant today. And it was weird how I was just kind of watching it going, fuck, man, you know, this doesn't look old school like, you know, 2001 slashers usually do. It's kind of strange how it's just what I'm saying. It's not that dated.
Yep, I agree.
Kind of cool, man. Kind of cool. So I give him props for that, for managing to do that.
I'm not sure if that was intentional.
It's definitely not intentional, but wow, it's really surprising to watch it all these years, because this is something that you couldn't note when you watched it 10 years ago.
Yeah, like this is going to be dated.
You're like, fuck, man, this is crazy, but really, it's not. It's kind of interesting. So,
yeah, I agree. So I think that the storyline is very simple and similar to like what you would expect. I did call what was going to happen like very early on.
Honestly, story, the way they developed this story with, you know, before they reveal who the killer is, there is plot holes there, like obvious ones. With like, because once the killer is revealed in this film, you're like, and then you kind of think back to certain scenes and things, it doesn't make sense. There are certain scenes that don't make sense. There's no way that this could have happened, but I mean, this is pretty prevalent in these type of slasher films and things. But I think this one, it really just does go, really? What?
Yeah, I kind of liked that they, like, I kind of liked, like, what they did in terms of just like the idea of it, but the execution, no, like I it just was way too predictable.
Yeah.
But like the red herring, I thought they did well. Like the way they did all the like red herrings and stuff, I thought was really well done.
Yeah, there was decent ones. I guess. I don't know.
I think they were good, but better than average.
Yeah. Fuck, man. I have to say though, there's oh my god, the one scene in this film where I can't remember who it is, what fucking character it is, but anyways, she's on the date with Jason. You know what part I'm talking about, where they're out for dinner and he's talking in third person.
Yeah.
Oh my god, why is that? I understand why the scene is there, but I just wanted to punch that guy in the fucking face as hard as I could. And he's like, Jason, no, Jason this, Jason that. I'm just like, who the fuck talks in third person? Ugh. It's so irritating.
That doesn't bug me at all.
Really? When people talk in third person?
What? Why would it bug me?
If I was being like, well, Moodz thinks this movie's like really retarded, that doesn't bug you?
No.
Oh.
Why? Why would it bug me?
Anybody that talks in third person needs to die. It's so fucking stupid. It's so arrogant. It just shows your character out on your sleeve, that you're just so beyond arrogant to talk like that. No real people don't fucking talk like that, man. It's ignorant. It's arrogant. It's stupid. It's just like, not real.
Not in like being serious. Nobody does like.
But that part, he's being serious. He's like trying to get the chick, and he's just like, yeah, well, Jason says this, and I was like, fuck, shut up, man. That's so stupid.
Yeah. One thing, man, I do think that the kills in this film are pretty fun.
I actually don't really agree. I think the kills in this film are a little weak, actually. They're kind of creative at times. And what I mean by, you know, they're not the worst. They're not the worst, but
they're good. What are you talking about?
I don't think so, man. The kill scene in the hot tub, I find to be so aggravating. And I this has been noted by me a couple times. I don't really get why that scene develops like that, because I mean, I don't really want to give the whole kill away, but like, I mean, to go through the trouble of puncturing holes and then just saying, okay, fuck, this isn't going to work, and then just do what he did. You know, it's like, why would you? It doesn't seem like that would ever go down like that. It's just, I mean, of course you got to disconnect yourself, but why? That just seems like way too much work just to do what happened. You know what I'm saying?
You mean like in Slaughter High when the chick decides to take a shower after she just seen somebody die?
Yeah, but
Like
I'm
that?
not trying to compare it to other ridiculous scenes. I'm just saying this one's it's extended and ridiculous too. It's like, okay, you get thrown into a hot tub and then, the lid closes and then you're going to do this and then, oh, fuck this, I'm just going to do that. I don't know. There's something about that scene that just
that one's definitely not my favorite one out of the movie for sure.
Yeah.
But like I like I don't know, like maybe just the concept of like the hot tub being closed and stuff, but like I'm talking about like the bow and arrow one. That was fucking brutal and vicious.
Which makes sense that they have that in there. It's a Valentine film, of course, Cupid, bow and arrow. That makes a lot of sense to have that kill in there. I don't really think he not only just puts
it was
one
badass, dude.
He not only puts
fall into the trash can. Come on.
Yeah, it's not bad. I don't think it's
was
really
cool
that
shit.
It's okay. It's okay. This movie surprisingly doesn't even have that big of a body count in it. I think there's only 9 total kills total. I think I just said total twice there, and I think a couple of them are actually off screen. So there's only about 7 on screen kills.
Yeah,
it's a pretty low body count actually.
So what about like I mean. I love the bow and arrow one was my favorite, but the iron one, I mean that was pretty cool. Like that, it's kind of off screen, but like you get the idea of what's happening.
Yeah, I mean you do get to see the face getting burnt.
Yeah,
a little bit, which is iron. Yeah, that's kind of nasty. And
then I like the opening one at the morgue where he's just walking down and he's just boom stabbing each body. Like that's cool to me, dude. Like I like scenes like that in slashers. That's what I like.
Honestly, I think the opening, the first kill, the whole developing scene, I think that's actually the best work in the entire film was that scene.
Well, that's classic slasher moments right there.
Because it has good atmosphere.
That's like something you might see in the final chase,
Yeah, it's actually shot really well too, and it's got some really good atmosphere, which the rest of the film doesn't actually have. It doesn't really have that type of atmosphere, and I feel like this film, the way the third act happens, like the way it develops into the third act, I feel like it just all of a sudden happens. Don't you think that there's not really a lot of buildup until what's really going down in the end?
I feel like it just goes from like one moment, like it's like at a party, and the next it's like, where the fuck is everybody?
But it doesn't feel like, if you didn't know how much time was left in the film, you'd be like, this is the third act?
Yeah, it's just kind of a weird
develops
way that it plays out. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But I actually really liked the scene like at that art show and stuff where there's all those pictures on the wall, and it has that weird like early 2000s vibe. I think that's one of the only parts in the film that kind of captures that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like everybody was just doing all these like weird things with this art, and I don't know. It was like the music, and it just seemed like next level. It seemed like next level technology. Like this is like paintings that are just on the wall in a white room gallery. That's old. This is the new way, Yeah,
I think a lot of the scenes in the film are very relative to the characters themselves, even though the characters in the film. Yeah, even though the characters are technically undeveloped, like you don't really know a lot of personal things about them. You know the generic things about them, like
you just assume they're high maintenance, high class, which I'm pretty sure is kind of intentional. Because
the stereotypes of these characters, like Denise Richards is the slut. She's the beautiful slutty girl and things like that. Like those things about. So, but these plosh parties and these big art parties, like these scenes make sense in the film. They really do. They didn't just have them set in different parts and like blah blah blah.
They make sense. They just feel completely disconnected with like the modern person, what I mean, like your average person.
Exactly, because these things don't generally happen like this all the time. It's again, kind of have to disconnect yourself a little bit, but surprisingly this movie doesn't really have a lot of comedy in it. There's comedic elements and comedic parts in this film, but the film as a whole isn't really that funny, and it doesn't have a lot of slapsticky or ridiculous moments and things, except for maybe the wax part, which is kind of funny how it plays out, but
it's
that whole scene.
It's also kind of a movie where go ahead, what was you gonna say about that scene?
It just like the way it plays out is so crazy, and it just really showcases Denise Richards, her character, like how slutty she actually is. Like she meets this guy and he comes to the party, and like 5 minutes later they're up in the bedroom and stuff, and he just drops his drawers and he's like, and she's kind of looking at him like, and he says to her, he goes, wax it.
Which I've never heard anybody.
I know, but it's a total setup to the joke and what she does to him, and that's all it's there for. It's just like
I
this
thought that
random
was like sort
moment.
of an
in time.
anti-slutty moment, though. Like
Well,
where it's like, I'm not just gonna sleep with you just
no.
because.
But the thing is, she actually went upstairs with the intention of possibly sleeping with him. She didn't know that was going to happen, right? She kind of turns the table, and she was turned off by it. So, but you know what I mean? But like, they just completely use that line to set up that joke in the film and have this like random comedy relief. You know?
It didn't feel out of place though. Like I feel like that's the level of comedy that you're supposed to have in your films.
Yeah.
Like where it's like not this. It's not. It's almost like it's. I don't know.
It didn't feel very natural though. You know, I mean, the scene makes sense. You know, towards her character. I just dropped a battery, and you know, the whole scene makes sense. But like, just the usage of like wax it and like what she does.
Hey, how do you know in 2001 guys weren't like, hey, I got wax last night, dog?
Trust me, I was 21 years old in 2001, and I didn't use the term wax it ever.
Yeah, but you're Canadian also.
Oh,
different
what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
You guys say phone. Phone home. E.T. phone home.
Yeah, and that's not an American film?
Yeah, but it's a fucking alien.
So they still wrote in phone.
Anyway, this one doesn't really have your like typical like final girl type. I don't know, like the characters aren't really.
Yeah,
they're not typically developed into like the one you're like how you're supposed to connect with them and be like rooting for anybody. Like they don't do that in this
purposely
one.
Trying to get away. Like it almost seemed like they were purposely straying away from that strong kind of final girl approach and stuff. And like honestly, are you really surprised on how the film went down? Like, are you surprised who was left and how it went down? You know, like to me, it is a little it's a little shocking, to be honest. The first time I watched this movie, I was expecting one of the I'm not going to say who to be the final girl, but it never happens that way, and it is a little bit surprising, you know. And but it's just, it almost feels like there's a lack of direction in the end of the film, like they didn't really know where to go with it or who they wanted to choose to really kind of prevail in the end of the film, in my opinion.
Yeah, one of the things that I had an issue with was that there's a scene where one of the characters was like, you know, she's the smart one and you're the popular one and she's the sexy one and she's the cool one or something. And I felt like they almost had to do that because they did a poor job of like really showcasing what each one had unique about them. And to me, it also made it become very hard to determine who was who and like, oh, is she, which one's she, like to kind of separate each of the characters.
Oh, to relate
each other.
to relate
and
to
not
the
only
older
them,
versions of the younger versions. Yeah.
Well, that, but also just to separate them as characters. Like I was having a hard time remembering which one was which, and which one's boyfriend was their boyfriend and not the other person. Like they did a bad job with their boyfriends too. Like they all seemed the same to me. I don't know. All the girls seemed the same. All their boyfriends seemed obviously different, but I couldn't remember which one was which girl. So I think they did a bad job with that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. But you know, they did a good job at the casting because, like, you know, I think I said before, very, very beautiful cast. Like, I mean, sexy girls, man.
Yeah, a little bit.
What do you mean a little bit?
I don't know. They have that like supermodel look that I don't really like. They're not really that unique.
Oh,
obviously they're beautiful, but
Marley Shelton, man, is so fucking hot, man.
Which one's that?
Her character name was what the fuck?
Kate.
It was Kate.
Kate.
Yeah, she's, you know, she goes on and playing Planet Terror and things like that.
Yeah, I think she might have been the.
She's actually by far the oldest one in this film. Like, she was in her late 20s in this film. Like, she doesn't look her age. She looks really, really young for how old she actually was. But I've always liked her, man. She's pretty cute and stuff. But I don't know. But
yeah. Besides that, though, man, I mean, it's a very basic movie. It's, you know, a 2001 slasher film, and it plays out exactly like a 2001 slasher film. There is a cover to this movie that has this sort of face that has like, it's like a notebook page like on the mask.
Yeah,
I think that would have been a cooler mask. Like better than the actual mask that they use.
Well, they just use the typical, you know, Cupid mask. I mean, it makes sense.
No, it makes sense. But have you seen the cover that's on the IMDb page?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that I think if like somebody like paper mache like a regular mask and like had like love notes like paper mache or whatever to his,
it's not a bad
his
idea.
face, I think that would have been pretty cool actually.
It's actually kind of interesting that they use that on the DVD cover, like in the background. But they never. That's not actually the mask.
Yeah, at all.
That is interesting. That I never really thought of that, but good point. It is. At first, I thought you were a fucking retard for even mentioning that, but now when I think about it, not bad.
This is like the mask on like the cover of the DVD, the cover on IMDb, the DVD menu.
But again,
they use like some other mask that you never see anywhere.
That poster art's a lot better than the actual snapper case. I mean, it's a very typical early 2000s slasher film.
Oh yeah.
Cover with the whole cast on the damn cover.
Yeah, with all their names up top and a tagline below, and they're always in like a V pattern too. Like it's ridiculous.
I think
they're floating heads.
I think the cover art to this movie is completely ridiculous, and they never should have done this. If you know what I mean, this is fucking stupid that they did that. But yeah, I don't know, man. Overall, it's not a bad film. I think the actual score in the film is beyond generic. Did you actually listen to the score? The soundtrack is pretty good. Like
no, the soundtrack's good. I like the soundtrack. It fits that.
The score that they use in this it's almost like they just took a generic score from the studio sound vaults of Warner. Right? I've heard this music in films before. I think it's just a generic type soundtrack.
Maybe it's like a public domain Valentine's Day theme or something.
But like even the music that plays like in the morgue and stuff, like in that scene, I've heard that it's identical to other things I've seen or heard before, and I was like, oh man, this is so crazy. Like this music has been used. That's annoying to me because I always notice things like that, and I'm just like, I mean, it's not like terrible music. It's just generic, just very generic. And for I'm assuming bigger budget film, considering the cast that was in here, you think they would have kind of tried to put some more originality into it, but I don't know.
Yeah, one of the little bit of trivia is Tara Reid was supposed to play Jamie.
Really? Tara Reid.
Or not Jamie. She played Jamie in Urban Legend, but she was looked at to play Dorothy, I think, in this one.
Oh, and the fat chick?
Yeah, Jennifer Love Hewitt was also attached to this at one point.
And she was probably going to play Paige, right?
Yep.
Denise Richards? Yeah, that figures.
Yep.
I could see that casting right there.
Also, at the cost of $10 million, this is the cheapest film to ever have a Super Bowl spot. The trailer to this was on the goddamn Super Bowl of 2001 or 2000.
Oh, that is an interesting note.
That's pretty cool.
Huh. Interesting. Well, it is a slasher film. Not really a whole lot more we can really say about it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, final thoughts?
My final thoughts on this one are it's just sort of a middle of the pack, mid 2000s slasher. Yeah. It's not something that I love or hate. I actually had fun watching it. I had fun just kind of, looking at what the characters were doing and how it was going to play out, even though I had a feeling how it was going to play out. And it's definitely an entertaining movie in terms of like you're not going to get bored watching it. Like I didn't find myself bored at all. It's just not that great of a story or anything really.
It's just because it's super undeveloped, man. And one thing I didn't really touch on was one thing about this film that really annoyed me watching it again was the underdevelopment of the detective and the story with like him actually doing the detective work. Because they focus on it for a little bit and then it's just non-existent in the story completely.
I didn't really. I'm trying to think.
Right?
He was there, wasn't he? Like he was doing stuff.
Pretty much after the scene where, the scene happens with Paige at the police station and stuff. Like he's kind of going through the
stupidly weird. By the way,
yeah, it's such an annoyingly odd, weird scene, but. They're kind of leaning towards that they're going to develop this, with the detective and he's going to be a bigger part of the story, but he's never really there. And then all of a sudden he shows up and he's just not alive.
Oh, actually, what did you think about the very, very ending? Like the final shot?
I actually liked the end of the very last shot in this film.
Yeah, me too.
I do. I really think that they fucked up with the detective story. I don't really understand, because they are leaning towards it. They want to make this kind of a police investigative type slasher film, almost in the vein of a giallo, but they don't have a lot of it. It was very problematic for me, which is really odd too, because I had just finished watching What Had They Done to Solange, which is like it's a giallo, it's a police investigation, things like that, and it's very developed. There's a lot of development and stuff, and I'm like, where the fuck happened? And then you kind of forget about the detective in the film until he shows up with no fucking head, right?
Yeah,
it's so crazy how I'm just like, oh yeah, there's the dirtbag that was hitting on Paige.
Yeah, I actually fell asleep watching this last night with like a half hour to go, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, had to hurry up and watch it, the rest of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you want to get into ratings now?
Yeah. I mean, sure. I'll go first. Yeah, this one right here, like you said, I do find it entertaining. I don't think it's overly a top shelf slasher film by any means. I think it does have its pros and cons. I think the lack of development with characters and other characters in the film, the detective story and things like that, are just like, okay. But oddly enough, this movie does move at a decent pace, and you're never bored. It's kind of strange. It's entertaining. It's also really nice to look at it, in my opinion. The girls are hot. It's very nice. I think, in my opinion, I think you like the kills a lot better than I did. I think the kills aren't the greatest in this movie. That's just my opinion. And it doesn't,
they're not like gory, but I just like them.
Yeah, and there isn't a very big body count, which isn't really that dramatic to the outcome of my rating and stuff, because I've seen films with lesser body counts that are really good and stuff. It just depends on how you do them. But as a whole product, I think it kind of holds its ground if you watch it today. It doesn't feel dated. The music's cool, the soundtrack, and certain other elements are okay. Really like the last shot in the film. I like those type of endings. I think that's very cool. I think it's gutsy, especially for the time, because I'm not sure if that was happening a whole lot. But I do like that approach. I like that what they did with that. And with that said, I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's that great, but I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
All right, so yeah, me going into my rating, I'm gonna come in a little bit lower than that. I think it's a pretty average, middle of the road horror film from the early 2000s, but I did like it. I honestly liked it more than my rating would suggest, but I just don't think it's that good. But I would actually watch this again.
Yeah, I mean,
especially for the Valentine's vibe that is not really there throughout, but I mean it's sort of there in spots. It ain't like they're trading Valentine's Day cards and they made their own special box or anything, but it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna come in at a 5.5 out of 10 on this one.
5.5. Yeah, that's pretty much where I figured you're gonna come in. So relatively the same. Of course, I always have to come in a little bit higher.
Except for the times where you don't, and I come in like higher than you on like Howling 7.
I know, it's so weird how that happens, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. An overall fun film, definitely one that we both, recommend. And I know a lot of people out there have seen this one, but
you could get it dirt cheap too.
Yeah, this one it was out of print and it was usually selling for $14, $15, something like that. I think you can get it for way cheap now, which is weird how out of print prices.
That's right. I forgot about that.
It was. Remember, it kept selling for anywhere from $15 to like $30, and then now all of a sudden the prices have dipped on it. And it's still out of print. There's no re-release of this, so check it out.
Should
Valentine
top shelf series.
Yeah. I don't. What did you pick yourself for? Like under $8 or something?
It was like $2.
$2?
Yeah, on Go Hastings.
Damn, dude. Wow, they've really dipped, man. That's crazy. Interesting. It's interesting how the market does that. So
yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, 6.5 or 6.5, 6 and 5.5 out of 10. That's pretty much exactly what I expected. Yeah,
so, I actually expected you to be lower than me.
Really? No, I do ultimately enjoy the film. I think it's very problematic though.
Yeah,
it's very problematic. But
I think our ratings are pretty much like spot on in terms of just like the general audiences who would watch this. I feel like they would come in exactly where we are.
Yeah. Oh yeah, one thing I didn't mention: this movie was actually filmed in BC, where I live.
I didn't know that.
It was filmed in British Columbia, so that's kind of cool. I guess. I don't know. But anyways, guys, that is going to wrap up the 73rd episode of the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast. Thank you once again for tuning in and listening to us blabble on for about 3 hours. And once again, I want to thank everybody for leaving comments and, of course, on the iTunes page. And for your voicemails and questions, we appreciate all of them, and we try to get to all of them. If we did miss anything, we apologize in advance, and we will try to do our best to get to them next time, or just not miss them at all. Because, like I said, I love doing the questions, and keep them coming, man. Rob, every time you ask, make me think like that. That's just, I love doing this. Those segments are like some of my funnest things to do now, because if I can think about things, it's all worth the time. It's all worth
I think
the time.
Rob needs to make an appearance on this show one day.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that would be very cool. A viewer request show with viewers actually on the show. I don't know. That's kind of cool. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. And we'll check you next week. JP, you want to take us out of here?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't know what we're doing next week or if we're 100% having a show, but I'm sure we'll surprise you guys with whatever our next show is. And you can check us out on a few places. Website, 22shotsofmoodsandhorror.com. Post all kind of fun stuff on there, like Vault of Horror and our ratings, as well as the back catalog of the show. Horrorphilia.com. Thank you, Horrorphilia Jason, for posting our show on the reg and also getting us up on iTunes. A lot of cool shows on Horrorphilia. I'm about to check out a new one that debuted called Theme Warriors. That one sounds pretty cool, so you guys let me know if it's worth checking out. I'm sure it's pretty good because I think the people involved have a pre-established podcast. Then Facebook /groups/22 Shots Podcast. That is where it is at, homies. Listen, you have to go over there. You just have to. It's the best group on the planet in horror, I think. Then we have Twitter, 22 Shots Podcast. Been tweeting a lot lately. Hit us up there, 22 Shots of Moods and Horror at gmail.com. Of course, subscribe to iTunes. Our voicemail line, 724-426-6665, 724-426-6665. As for me, I am JP, Double Shot J on YouTube. That is Moodz 616 on YouTube. And until next time, keep it horror.
Yeah.